when Punxsutawney Phil made his annual appearance.
Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of all prognosticator, was awakened from his burrow to the cheers of his thousands of faithful followers.
And they cheered even louder when he declared he saw no shadow and predicted an early spring. Supermodel Cindy Crawford is stepping out of the picture. She's retiring as a model, saying she shouldn't have to prove herself anymore and doesn't want to. Crawford is turning 50 this year. Let the hype begin. The countdown to the Super Bowl is on with Media Day. At the annual pregame circus, quarterbacks Cam Newton and Peyton Manning traded compliments but said they wanted to win. This is ABC News.
Honey, I'm really worried about our retirement funds.
Oh, me too. We lost so much value in the recession in the stock market. I'm worried we won't have enough to retire.
Jim next door told me that he had set up a new kind of IRA with a gold-silver group. He said how simple and safe it was. It's a private storage IRA, and we could have real gold and silver in our hands.
Really? You mean we can actually see it and touch it?
Absolutely. Jim said we could have all the benefits of an IRA to help build our retirement income. Bottom line, we would own a real tangible asset, and we would have the security of knowing we're protected no matter what the economy does. What do you think?
I think we need to find out how to get our own private storage IRA. We need to call the Gold Silver Group right now.
Are you ready to protect your future? Call 800-295-6803 now to find out how easy and safe it is to set up a private storage IRA with Gold Silver Group, and find out how you can qualify for up to $700 in free silver. All transactions are privately delivered and fully insured. Please call us now. 800-295-6803. 800-295-6803.
What does it mean when the label says natural? A new study by Consumer Reports finds some foods, including shredded cheese, labeled as natural, contain pesticides, and fruit snacks labeled natural can contain artificial preservatives. ABC's Michelle Franzen has more.
When you buy the shredded cheese and fruit roll-ups labeled natural, it turns out some of those products may contain pesticides or artificial preservatives.
The problem is the natural label doesn't guarantee any of this. There are no government standards.
Dr. Yervashi Rangan, Consumer Reports Director of Food Safety, says better oversight is needed and defining what natural means so it matches what consumers think they're getting. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Dancing with the Stars pro Velch Murkowski is being sued for $6 million for posting a meme online. A picture of an overweight girl with the caption, "Letting your kid become obese should be considered child abuse." Her family is suing, pointing out the girl suffers from Down syndrome, which increases the risk of obesity. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance, proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins, amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to two companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday, with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we How do we benefit from that? And then I took 2 different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000 set aside for an emergency fund, you wouldn't need an emergency credit card, right?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
For iFIBER One News Radio, good morning to you. Tuesday here, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. We'll talk about Groundhog's Day a little bit later. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
We have got sports for you upcoming. First, though, Carol, how's the forecast looking outside?
Right now, 32, and it is foggy.
Pretty foggy out there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some information from high school sports notes from you, from Jim Judson. Got a lot of emails from him this morning, and lots of great information to pass along about your Shelton High Climbers. Some information now from the 2016 West Central 1 tournament this past weekend at Pacific Lanes. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schilter, the 2 bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their games. And the averages for Rebecca was 159 and 155 for Kaylee. Rebecca is now the second alternate for state, and thanks to Coach Gagnon for getting us this information. More on the high climbers and the high climber divers, along with Coach Phelan. The divers took the top 4 places at the Narrows League Diving Championships last Thursday, the first time in league history that one school grabbed the top 4 spots. I mentioned who they were last week. John Netzel was the league champion, followed by Troy Crumples. Zach Netzel was 3rd, and Mikey Willis 4th. John and Troy have now qualified for the state meet on February 19 and 20. Zach and Mikey still have a good chance to qualify for state as well. And over the last couple of years, Coach Phelan has been the most successful diving coach in Washington State. Congratulations to Climber Company. The results of the drill and rifle meet held at Rogers High School this past weekend. Color Guard 1 got 2nd place. Color Guard 2 got 1st place. The unarmed team regulation performance garnered a 3rd place finish, as well as the armed team in regulation. Armed team commander got 2nd place. Unarmed duels exhibition 3rd, and armed duels exhibition 3rd as well. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City, February 27th, the final regular season meet to determine which teams will advance to regional competitions, held on March 19th at Bethel. Congratulations to our swimmers and Coach Youngquist for their success at the recent Narrows League Swimming Championships. Coach shared that the team swam very well and dropped tons of time. We talked about those 4 divers, and in addition to them, have the following swimmers headed to the district meets on the 12th and 13th. Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Toney, and Robert Cornwell. Good luck to all of them at districts. Today's the 2nd, and that means we have got boys basketball, girls basketball, and a basketball video cast for you on iFIBER 1, with the coverage getting underway right around 7. 6:12 now at iFIBER 1, and Carol's here to check on the weather.
Good morning. It's 32 and it's very foggy this morning. So if you're driving, be careful of that. It'll be partly cloudy later today with some sunshine, and we should reach a high of about 48. The rest of the week calls for rain, even Saturday with rain early and only about 46 when we start jumping at the polar bear plunge. Woo! Taking place at the Alderbrook Resort. It's 32.
From the iFIBER 1 News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Six 13 here at iFIBER 1 News Radio. Jeff and Carol will talk about who all's coming on the big show today. We have 4 great guests. First up, Dan Griffey, 35th District Representative. We'll have a conversation with him and tell you who else is coming up on the show right after this Westwood One NFL Now report on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
I'm Steve Weisman with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It's just a week until Super Bowl 50, and both teams have arrived in Northern California. Denver landing at San Jose International Airport just before 3 p.m. Sunday. And Panthers, a little more than an hour later. The Broncos plan to hold shorter practices this week at Stanford University to sharpen and reinforce what the team worked on while they were still in Colorado. Meantime, Carolina plans to stay in the San Jose area and practice at San Jose State. Nobody gets you closer to Super Bowl week than NFL Network. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Rich Eisen hosting Super Bowl opening night. Meantime, Cowboys defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence underwent a procedure on his back Saturday for an injury that bothered him throughout the season. Head coach Jason Garrett did not set a definitive timetable on his recovery. Lawrence led the Cowboys this year with 8 sacks. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over.
Copy that, Control. Rockets powering up. Over.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over.
Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose.
Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket?
Please just press the button, Control. Over.
Copy that, QL1. 3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio, KMAS.
Well, good morning to you. It is Groundhog Day here, February 2nd. Talk about what the seer of seers, the sage of sayers, prognosticator of prognosticators, how he did over there at Gobbler's Knob early this morning. And I found some really fascinating factoids.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Fascinating to you or to everybody?
Well, no. I mean, to me, obviously. They're about the movie Groundhog's Day, which some people like, some people don't like. You are a yay or nay on that one.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies.
Well, good. See? And it's I'll share with you those fascinating factoids. That's coming up, though. First off, though, we got some big stories on the website, iFIBER1Newsradio.com, and they are all talking about some of the recent news from the City Commission yesterday. A couple of things that the City Commission approved there. They updated their marijuana ordinance. Final approval was given last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. The commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zones for the retail establishments. Those are still at 1,000 feet. Just one of the stories there on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. The other story, in the first month of this year, we are seeing what is considered a significant increase in crimes involving illegal firearms and guns being left in vehicles. This is from the Shelton Police Chief Darren Moody. 3 separate gun-related arrests were the result of this, according to Chief Darren Moody. There are 3 stories to talk to you about on the website, so you can read those there. Some of these have resulted after people just leaving their guns
in their vehicles.
Yeah. And so then do people see them in the vehicles, or are they breaking into the vehicle and then it's a happy accident that, oh, by the way,
I think
they're just sitting on their passenger seat?
Yeah. So Moody said,
sorry if you saw that on the video.
Proper gun safety and storage of firearms reduces the risk to public safety and police officers on the street. So if you could help by practicing proper gun safety and storage, it would be, much appreciated. Beneficial.
Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane was blockaded where a crack about 1 inch wide was found in the road's surface, and you can see a picture of that on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Other sections of the website with new news to report about, an update on that shooting at the homeless encampment.
Yeah, it's sort of a weird, strange turn of events. The police have actually arrested 3 teenagers in connection with the shooting at the Seattle homeless encampment that left 2 people dead and 3 others wounded. The suspects are 13, 16, and 17. And they were arrested yesterday afternoon. And there is no other information available about why or how it even came to be, other than the fact that this is the result. They're arrested.
I mean, the other thing too about this was that they said that it wasn't like homeless on homeless crime, if that's a thing, but it was somebody who knew that these people were homeless. Remember that was the initial reports.
Right. It wasn't just because they were homeless, they were shot. They were shot for some reason, which we haven't gotten any details on yet.
14-year-old boy charged with driving a car that killed a 10-year-old passenger and injured 2 other boys during a joyride in Washington has been sentenced. That story on the regional tab as well. And King County Trauma Centers, Carol, are offering care in community clinics. It looks like King County's Regional Trauma Center will be offering health care in community clinics under a new 10-year agreement announced on Monday. Speaking of health care, more than 2,000.
More than 200,000 actually signed up for health care insurance in Washington with that open enrollment period that ended on Sunday. There were computer problems on Saturday, and I don't think it was the Washington Health Plan Finder. This time it was the Department of Social Health and Services eligibility system. So there was if you had to there was computer problems, but if you had a computer problem, the health finder people want you to call them or contact them as soon as possible. But at one time, about 300 people an hour were signing up. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people. Yeah. So this was a deadline to get coverage to start in March or in February?
It will. If you signed up yesterday, it will start in March. I believe you have to sign up before the end of the month. So if you signed up in November, I think you could have started in. Well, it depended on your own contract, how far it lasted. It's all confusing. You have to, it's all individual. But if you signed up and you got it, then you're covered for the next year.
And soon we'll see in the mail some specialized
I already got
tax
mine.
form. You got your
1095 from the Department of Health.
1095. Did it look complicated?
No, not at all. I'm like, geez, I spent that much on health insurance is what my reaction was. I know I spent a lot, but...
More than you thought?
No, I mean, I knew exactly how much I spent, but it's just, you see it in the total.
Was that your out-of-pocket expense, or was that the total before?
No, this is just what you pay to the insurance.
Oh, I see. For your monthly premiums.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with what you actually... all the other stuff you paid, but how much you paid per month just to have insurance.
Like when we get our bills from taking Kaiser or whatever, it's like this thing was $5,000 and then they write off everything but 50 cents or something.
I know.
It's so weird.
To me, it's the whole...
Oh! You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Your small business needs a loyalty rewards program, but email and paper cards are not effective, and using your POS system where you have to do all the work is bad as well. Go mobile. 95% of customers will check your marketing message on their smartphones in the first 5 minutes you send it, and we do all the work for you for under $150 a month. Call Puget Sound Perks today, 253-584-1212, or visit psperks.com. Reward your customers, and they'll reward you back.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio.
If you're afraid of school shootings, fine. Put him near the outer perimeter of the school. Put him in front of the school. Build a little guardhouse or something. Stick him in it. But a cop to deal with discipline problems? It's turning a school into a prison. It's teaching kids how to be afraid of authority figures. It's teaching them, oh, yes, officer, no, officer. Oh, please don't beat the crap out of her. Oh, wow, look at him beat the crap out of her. This is so wrong.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It's 6:23 at iFIBER One News Radio, Daybreak. And Jeff and Carol on the air this morning. We're working on the websites here, talking about some things that are happening. And this weekend, we've got for ye on the radio, the Super Game. We can say Super Bowl because we're carrying it, but you'll notice.
You can't say.
Wait, hold on. I had your mic down because you were muttering about something else that shouldn't be on the air. What were you saying, Carol? Hi, good morning.
Nothing that couldn't be on the air.
Sure. No, so the Super Bowl, it's copyrighted, Super Bowl.
Is it really?
That's why some people say, join us for the big game.
Oh.
Or the championship.
But since we have it, I haven't been breaking violating the FFC.
I don't think so. FCC.
All right.
So we've got it. Coverage starts at 11. Game Sunday, 3:30-ish kickoff. Got Beyonce and Coldplay's the main for halftime, but I think Beyonce will probably pop up. They'll do a retrospective of 50 years of Super Bowl halftimes. Probably have some really great music and some things that'll bring you back to past Super Bowl halftimes. Denver Broncos and Cam Newton's Carolina Panthers are the opponents on Sunday's game, and it's media week this week.
It is.
So they get all sorts of silly questions, and so now everybody's starting to lock in where they're at, figure out whose team they're going to be at. I was listening to Chad Benson yesterday. We were out driving around, and he says, well, there's going to be about 50 million more Carolina Panther fans this weekend than there ever were because they're favored. They're in the Super Bowl, and if you're watching it, you got to pick one. So it's a 50-50 deal. Carol, where are you at these days?
Well, did you see the pants that Cam Newton was wearing the other day?
Is that going to influence my decision?
He had some like $800 or $900 zebra pants.
Are they made out of zebras, or
they were whatchamacallit?
They weren't like leggings. They weren't like tight leggings that looked like zebras.
They sort of were.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No, I did not see that. So Cam Newton, zebra pants, is that influencing your decision then?
No, my decision is influenced by, I would rather have them win than the Broncos because they're new. They remind me a little bit of the Seahawks. Maybe not as, these guys are a little bit much, but everybody thought the Seahawks were a little bit much.
There's a lot of brashness in the Seahawks when Sherman was yelling and all that stuff.
Which, check this out. All you have to do is Google.
Post those on there.
Cam Newton.
Oh my gosh.
David Lee Roth wants his pants back.
$900 Versace pants worn by Cam Newton.
Yeah. So, that did not influence my deal. The whole thing is it's a team that nobody thought was really going to do anything, and they did. They are sort of cocky. So whoever plays the best will win. We did not play our best, so obviously that's why we're not there.
Sure, that makes sense.
I wish we were.
You think that they will play better than the Denver Broncos?
Well, they don't have anything to lose, really.
Sure.
They're going in, all crazy. The Broncos, they want the legacy.
Because you have to have Peyton's legacy.
Yeah, I think he wants his legacy, and he wants things to just, go as planned.
If he wins or does not win, do you think that Peyton Manning will be done playing?
Well, that's what everybody says. I don't know. He might just change it. How many people say they're done and then they come back?
It's true. I was watching on the sports shows yesterday. They were talking about that Drew Brees. Who's that other guy? Tom Brady. They've all said, well, we want to play until our 40s, 45, something like that. Now, at this point, Peyton is year to year. Like, he has to show up to training camp and participate to even see if he's got the skills.
Right.
He has no feeling in his throwing hand fingers.
Really?
And the tips of his fingers on his throwing hand, he has no feeling anymore.
Interesting.
And, he just had that fused neck. So every decision, every even strong gust of wind, he's worried about his body.
Well, the thing is if you physically can't play, I don't think you should be given any breaks just because of your name.
Sure.
Cut
him. Get Osweiler up there. Start the young kid.
Yeah, exactly. You have your team that supports you, but you got to pull your weight.
He's almost 40.
Yeah.
39 or something like that. The other story is Calvin Johnson, Megatron from Detroit. He is 30, and he's played in the league for 9 years, all with Detroit, and Detroit stinks. He has got some of the best numbers in the business, and he's never been to a playoff game. So he's thinking of retiring at 30. And so now there's a question on if too many high-profile people are worried more about their health concerns and stuff, and if people start retiring at 30 from NFL, this void that will then show up because people are looking more at safety in their own personal health.
Yeah, well,
Plus, Detroit stinks.
Yeah, but everything changes. Everything changes, even football. That's been the same way for
Well, that was what they were saying, is that they need to, if they have any hope to keep people around and not worry about their health so much, is that they cannot make any new rules that would add to the violence of the game.
Right.
Because people are really...
Local news is brought to you by Shelton.
That's not right.
Well, I think they should be worried. I think they should be concerned.
I think the players are all reading the literature now. They're seeing those movies, and they're seeing those realities. Barry Sanders was the other Detroit Lion that was a phenomenal player. He left early, too, because, Detroit. What do they got? Kid Rock and Eminem. That's about it.
People that live there might like it.
On
You can't just diss it.
News Radio. That's what I want.
Because
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to two companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County Engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday, with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we benefit from that? And then I took two different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Kicking on all cylinders for their new coach. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Schreiber reporting on sports. Riding high under head coach Tyronn Lue. The Cleveland Cavaliers look to seal a rare win in Indianapolis Monday night.
Irving works off a high Thompson screen, fires an 18-footer and knocks it down. Irving now has a team-high 21 points.
John Michael on WTAM with the call. The Cavs' big three, Love, Irving, and James, combined for 68 points in an overtime win against the Pacers. The first time the Cavs won in Indiana in 6 years. Around the NBA, Gordon Hayward put up 27 points in the Jazz overtime win over the Bulls. The Spurs remain undefeated at home, beating the Magic. The Pistons squeaked by the Nets in Brooklyn. Thunder over the Wizards. Grizzlies beat the Pelicans. Kings win against the Bucks. And the Nuggets ruin the Raptors' 11-game winning streak. They'll be battling it out come Sunday, but Peyton Manning and Cam Newton aren't exchanging jabs off the field. Speaking at Super Bowl 50 Media Night, Manning had nothing but praise for the young Panthers quarterback.
There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be the MVP on Saturday night, and what he's done in a short time being an NFL quarterback, he's been awesome.
As for Newton, he spoke highly of his counterpart, saying he's happy people are linking the two.
Well, anytime you get compared to Peyton Manning, you must be doing something right. So I take it for what it's worth.
It's not official yet, but Detroit Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson is reportedly ready to hang up his cleats. At just 30 years old, the news has sent shockwaves throughout the NFL, but concerns about long-term injuries may prompt more early retirements. Another player in his early 30s is calling it quits. Two-time Super Bowl champion Justin Tuck is stepping away from the game. Dave Schreiber, ABC Sports.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
For iFIBER One News Radio, it's Daybreak on a Tuesday morning, the 2nd of February. It's Groundhog Day. We'll tell you what old PA Phil, Puxatani Phil saw here coming up in this next half hour. Got some great sports information for you currently, but first, Carol, what's going on in the weather?
32, and you could have a very foggy drive this morning.
Yeah, almost had to cut it out with a knife. It was so foggy. Some information for you from the 2016 West Central District 1 tournament this past weekend for high school bowling at Pacific Lanes. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schilter, the two bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their three games. The averaging out for Rebecca was 159, and for Kaylee it was 155. And Rebecca is now the second alternate for state. Congratulations to the high climber divers. They took the top 4 places at the Narrows League Diving Championships last Thursday. First time in league history that one school grabbed the top 4 spots. John Netzel was the league champ. Troy Crumples second. Zach Netzel and Mikey Willis third and fourth, respectively. John and Troy have qualified for state on February 19th and 20th. But wait, Zach and Mike, you still have a very good chance of qualifying for state as well. Congratulations to the Climber Company. The results of the drill and rifle meet held at Rogers High School on this past 30th of January. The Color Guard 1 took second place. Color Guard 2 took first place. In addition, third place finishes in unarmed team regulation, armed team regulation, unarmed duels exhibition, armed duels exhibition, and second place for armed team commander. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City on the 27th. This will be their final regular season meet to determine which teams will advance to the regional competition to be held on March 19th at Bethel. There are, let me see if I can find this link quickly. There are videos of all of these stories for you on the YouTube. You can find videos of the drill and rifle meets at the YouTube channel NJROTC Shelton. That's where you can find links to all those videos. Again, NJROTC Shelton. And we do appreciate all the hard work that those kids put forth. Congratulations to our swimmers for their success at the recent Narrows League Swimming Championships. Coach shared the team swam very well, dropped tons of time. Talked about the divers already, and they have an addition following swimmers headed to the district meet on the 12th and 13th. District swim qualifiers: Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Tony, Robert Cornwell. Good luck to y'all at districts. Basketball tonight, and we've got one for you on iFiber1newsradio.com with a tip-off right around 7 o'clock here. North Thurston comes to town. The boys are in Lacey at the Slater-Kinney Annex, and also during halftime tonight, look ahead to a Players in Progress performance. Wrestling tournament coming up on the 5th, 6th as well, and more tournaments into the weekend. That's a kind of a quick look at sports, local Shelton High Climber sports for you. If you've got a sports team that you want me to pass along the information to our listeners, please, we'd love it. Daybreak at KMAS.com.
Good morning. It's 32. foggy this morning. So if you're heading out, be aware of that. Maybe give yourself some extra time to see. The rest of the day is just going to be partly cloudy with some sun later. We'll reach a high about 48. And the rest of the week calls for rain, even Saturday with rain early. And the temp's only going to be about 46 when we start running into the water for the polar bear
That's
plunge.
warm. That's hot.
I don't know about that.
As compared to years gone by.
Have you been practicing taking super cold showers or jumping into your...
I'm not going to practice anything. I'll do it live.
All right, so...
32?
32.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
641 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner here. It's Daybreak on iFIBER ONE. Great guests throughout the day today. We have Representative Dan Griffey coming up at 7:15, Carrie Lemon at 7:45 to talk about the United Way Valentine dessert and gift auction forthcoming. Don Miner will be in at 8:15 to talk about the polar bear plunge this weekend. And Rebecca Lawson from the Department of Ecology will call in, and we're going to talk with her at 8:45 about some work happening at the C Street dump.
Yes.
So that's what's going on there. The other big story is that the Shelton commissioners last night, did approve some new pot laws and regulations. They unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. They are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other buildings. But pot growing and processing facilities are now down to a 500-foot buffer. This will then open the paths to allow a couple families that want to come in and take over the ITT Rayonier buildings. There's a couple families there, one on Harvard and one on Mill, for indoor marijuana growing and processing. 6:42, we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
You know, on Science Fantastic, we've had a number of neurologists talking about the incredible breakthroughs. Did you know that using computers, we can actually communicate with the thinking brain? Telepathy, telekinesis, recording memories, photographing a dream. Machines that are controlled by the mind.
If you're looking for a new venue to watch your favorite sports, come check out the El Serape Cantina. Take in the classy Day of the Dead ambiance and enjoy your favorite sports on the large projector screen or 4K Ultra HD TVs. Warm up by the fire or shoot some pool on the beautifully crafted pool tables. Join the Cantina for Dollar Taco Tuesdays and bring out your inner rock star on Karaoke Wednesdays. With so much to offer, the Cantina is the place to be. Located on Railroad in downtown Shelton, right next to the El Serape restaurant.
We have some extreme temperatures in our part of the country. I want to tell you about a local company, Arch Mechanical, ARCH, Arch. It's an acronym for Affordable Refrigeration, Cooling, and Heating. But that's not what's important. What's important is how Tom, the problem solver, is able to help solve your heating, cooling, and refrigeration equipment or system problems. Check out archmechanical.com and find out more. archmechanical.com.
We love hearing from our listeners and sharing their stories with you. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Today, we're featuring a pet-passionate couple educating others about respect for animals as they're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Commodity Classic is all about what's new. New ideas, new innovation, new equipment, new technology, new friends. And this year it all happens in New Orleans, March 3rd through the 5th. Commodity Classic is where the best soybean, corn, wheat, and sorghum farmers come to get even better. And here's something else that's new. The Association of Equipment Manufacturers joins Commodity Classic in 2016. There's plenty to get jazzed about as Commodity Classic heads to New Orleans, March 3rd through 5th. Discover more at commodityclassic.com.
Need new ideas for what to do around your place? Register for a free Living the Country Life newsletter. Once a week, you'll receive helpful tips on key topics such as landscaping, animals and poultry, outdoor improvement projects, recreational activities, and much more. The newsletter delivers the latest trends, alerts you to informational courses, shares what other people are doing on their properties, and provides details about exciting sweepstakes and other contests. Sign up for your free newsletter today by visiting livingthecountrylife.com.
All over the country, healthy, adoptable animals are being put down. Ryan and Chrissy Newman of Statesville, North Carolina, saw the need for education about responsible pet ownership. They founded Rescue Ranch, an education-based program that teaches kids about pet care, wildlife conservation, respect for animals, and more.
We have summer camp sessions. We have beginner buddies, which is kind of like a parent and me class for the preschoolers. We do Boys and Girl Scout programs. We center all these things around our animals. We have a great group of educational animals that we use: snakes, rabbits, birds. We have chinchillas, pigs, cows. You name it, you can probably find it at the ranch, unless it's super exotic. We don't have any bears or lions or tigers or anything like that.
They use the animals as tools to demonstrate what their care entails, show animal personalities, and emphasize that a pet can be a commitment for many years. Chrissy says she loves to hear feedback from the kids and how they've become invested in the programs.
We'll be out having dinner, and we have kids or parents come up to us and they talk about, oh, well, how is Hershey, the one rabbit that they got attached to? And it's fun to see people that have misconceptions or a fear of snakes come in and do one of the programs where they can't even be in the room with it. And then they're a little more curious, and then they become a little more curious that they actually want to touch it. The next thing I know, they're holding it and they don't want to give it back.
The Newmans are planning an animal foster program, a 24-hour emergency vet clinic, and a capital campaign to build an adoption center. Chrissy says her biggest goal is to have no healthy, adoptable animal in her county become euthanized. We'd like to hear what makes your place special. Tell us about it at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
All right, good morning to you. It's 12 to 7 here at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is the 2nd of February here.
Now at Gobbler's Knob, he's been telling the truth. Gobbler's Knob is where to be. Can somebody please just pull him out? Oh, somebody give me an early spring. Groundhog Day! Give us the news.
Oh my goodness, these guys get into
6
it.
more weeks. Early spring.
I love it.
Groundhog Day! If it can't be spring, I'm gonna have
There's a song about everything.
There is a song about everything, Carol, and it is Groundhog Day.
It is, and
They say we're young and we don't know. Won't find
So you love this movie. I love this movie. Ned Ryerson. Stephen Tobolowsky is his name. It's a great movie called That Guy in That Thing. And it's all about people who play these bit roles that have been in movies for 30 years, and everybody knows, you're that guy in that thing. They have another one of that girl in that thing. But Stephen Tobolowsky is in this movie, and he's Ned Ryerson. He's the Bing guy in Groundhog's Day. And it is Groundhog's Day. So we, of course, need to go Dateline, Puxatawny, PA.
But hold up for just a moment.
Well, it's going to take me a second to get there.
Okay, so despite what most people think that Groundhog's Day started with that movie, it's been around for 130 years. Today's the 130th anniversary.
I mean, that's amazing.
It is amazing. And it actually started in Germany.
Really?
Yeah, it was Candlemas Day or something like that. The last Tuesday, the second Candlemas Day, which according to the Germans, the groundhog peeps out of his winter quarters, and if he sees a shadow, he pops back in for another 6 weeks nap. But if the day's cloudy, he remains out as the weather is moderate.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This second day of February 2016, the 130th annual trek of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of all prognosticator, was awakened from his burrow to the cheers of his thousands of faithful followers.
And now, what did he say?
There is no shadow to be cast. An early spring is my forecast.
Oh my gosh, and you just hear it in his voice and everybody there in Puxatawny down at Gobbler's Knob. They are so excited. And you can hear it when the clouds are there.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't see the shadow, but he goes, boo, boo, Phil.
So, what does Puxsutawney Phil think about this whole thing? Does he even like it? And is there a new one every year?
There's probably not a new one every year. But I would imagine that it is not the same one that started 130 years ago. I don't know the longevity of a groundhog. Here's what I can tell you about using groundhog in movies. Bill Murray bitten twice during Groundhog Day, during that movie, during the filming of that scene. Originally, and it's kind of a dark movie in a way.
Yeah.
It's got the redemption at the end, but it's kind of a dark movie. There's a lot of, he tries to kill himself in a bunch of different ways.
Doesn't he have the groundhog drive? Doesn't he have the groundhog driving the car?
Yeah, the groundhog's driving in the car, driving off the cliff, and that's where he got bit twice.
Well, I would imagine.
So now if you're watching that scene where the groundhog is driving and old Phil Connors, Bill Murray is behind it saying, don't drive angry. He says, don't drive angry. But imagine, if you will, if that was Tom Hanks. Bill Murray wasn't actually the first pick to play Phil Connor. Film's late director Harold Ramis wanted Tom Hanks for the role, but he changed his mind because Hanks, of course, is too nice.
Right, but I could see him doing the role. I could, but it would be a completely different film, obviously.
Bill Murray, Harold Ramis. Now, Harold Ramis also was Egon Spengler from Ghostbusters, so they're tight.
Right.
But after this movie, their relationship soured. Despite their great history, Murray fought about the tone of the film. Murray wanted it to be more philosophical. Harold Ramis wanted a comedy. After the film wrapped, the two didn't speak for 20 years.
Lord.
Murray finally visited him to end their feud just before he died in 2014. I mentioned that he was bit twice, so bad that he had to get anti-rabies vaccines. And if you wonder, so he learns how to ice sculpt, he learns how to play the piano, he knows everybody's routine in the town. Can I also just say Chris Elliott is a great actor. He was in that show Life Stinks. He's this goofy looking dude. He's funny in that. He's the cameraman. They think the film itself depicts 38 days. 38 days of him repeating until he gets it all right.
Right.
And then he wakes up the next day and it's February 3rd. Oh, what a fun one.
Yeah, but so the question though on everybody's mind here is, does it make any difference here in the Northwest?
No. No, and I say no because there are closer prognosticators. They have them in the Southwest. They've got them. There's a few. There's a handful all across the country.
Who's our Northwest one?
I don't know. The Weedle.
The Weedle.
The Weedle on the Needle. Do you remember that story? The Weedle on the Needle?
Well, the Weedle on the Needle, but I didn't know he forecasted
No,
for
he
spring
doesn't.
or summer.
The Weedle just popped into my head, and that's what I thought. I'll see if I can find a Northwest
Okay, that'd be great.
counterpart.
So why do we always have to do stuff like the eastern part of the country? I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on, see? say? 6:55. Old Farmer's Almanac now. We'll be right back after this, just about 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
What's on display for stargazers in the midwinter sky? We have your February viewing guide today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, February 3rd, the 34th day of the year. Hall of Fame quarterbacks Bob Greasy and Fran Tarkenton share a birthday, and painter Norman Rockwell was born in 1894. Stargazers will find our planetary neighbors missing from the evening sky to begin the month. If you venture out after twilight, the most prominent stars will be Orion and Sirius. Jupiter returns by mid-month, though, to begin a 3-month window for viewing the giant planet and its moons. Mars, now rising in the early morning hours, may turn out to be the highlight of 2016. The red planet grows in prominence over the next few months, making its biggest and brightest appearance in a decade by springtime. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more and find your local sunrise and sunset times at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. We have a CNBC Business Radio Report coming up for you in just about a minute here on Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. We had a late addition to our interview schedule. Rebecca Lawson will be on the air at 8:45. She is from the Department of Ecology, and she'll talk about a public meeting on the C Street landfill, and that story is on the environment page, Carol?
It's on the environment page, and the Department of Ecology is going to be hosting a public meeting to discuss the C Street landfill cleanup. That's going to be February 9th at 6:30 at the Shelton Civic Center. With an open house and then a presentation at 7. And this event's going to be one of the first steps to explore the extent and types of contamination at the site and the planning cleanup options that protect the human health and environment around here. So there is a public comment period right now that's open. Starts February 8th, actually. Sorry about that. And will continue to March 9th.
And the meeting is a week from today.
Yeah, and so she will be talking to us about that meeting, Rebecca Lawson, about 8:40 when we have Environmentally Sound.
Again, you can find that whole story on the Environment tab on iFIBER1newsradio.com. There is some other information on there. And quickly, Carol, can you explain this interactive beach map for folks in a couple of seconds?
Basically, if you are going to go fishing, clam digging type of thing, you can check the interactive beach map and see if the beaches are clean, if you can dig there, if there's some bacteria or whatever. Should have all that information.
It is 7 o'clock. CNBC Radio Report now. ABC News at 7.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. The markets are lower this morning as oil pressure returns, crude falling after BP announced its biggest quarterly loss in 20 years. The oil and gas company says it plans to cut thousands of jobs. ExxonMobil also reporting plunging profits, and S&P cut the ratings of Shell and BHP Billiton. The Dow's down 237 points, the Nasdaq lower by 49. Bank stocks are getting hurt after UBS said investors had pulled billions out of its division serving wealthy clients. But a bright spot, Google parent Alphabet easily beating forecasts on strong mobile ad sales. Shares are sharply higher, overtaking Apple as the biggest company by market value. Facebook says its messaging service named WhatsApp now has 1 billion users. That's more than Facebook Messenger with 800 million or Instagram with 400 million. Chris Maurer, CNBC.
Looking to save money on Medicare Part D? Switch your prescriptions to Walgreens. With copays as low as $1, you could be looking at some real savings. And now you can preview the cost of your scripts before you fill with Walgreens' new Medicare prescription copay quote. And that's kind of a big deal. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Quotes subject to change and available only for select Part D plans. $1 copay applies to Tier 1 generics.
If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Call 877-319-6988. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Call 877-319-6988. Programming starting as little as $29.99, plus access to thousands of movies and TV shows. Stream to your TV, smartphone, or tablet. Call 877-319-6988. Say goodbye to the cable.
Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money. Weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Iowa is just a speck in the rearview mirror as the candidates concentrate on New Hampshire now, but the caucuses reshaped the presidential race. Ted Cruz was the winner on the Republican side, beating Donald Trump 28 to 24%. ABC News White House correspondent Jonathan Karl asked Cruz about his strategy.
So the New York values attack worked.
Everyone knows what New York values are. It's the values of the elite liberal politicians.
Marco Rubio finished a strong third. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders finished in a virtual tie, though the Clinton camp is declaring victory, and Clinton herself said she felt like a winner.
I stand here tonight breathing a big sigh of relief. Thank you, Iowa.
Two candidates dropped out after dismal showings in Iowa, Mike Huckabee and Martin O'Malley. ABC's Tom Yamas has the latest on another candidate with a poor showing.
As for Jeb Bush, he says his campaign is hitting the reset button now. Critics are attacking him because they said that Jeb Bush has hit the reset button more than a few times since announcing his run for the presidency. Bush feels very confident in this state, and he thinks that he could actually do really well, and it'll help him, give him a boost into South Carolina.
The E. coli outbreak linked to Chipotle restaurants appears to be over, according to CDC officials, but they also caution while they're closing their investigation, they still haven't found the source. ABC medical editor Dan Childs has more.
There were 55 people who were sickened in the course of these outbreaks across 11 states. 21 of those people found themselves in the hospital. Fortunately, there were 0 deaths associated with this first outbreak. In the second outbreak, there were only 5 cases across 3 states and only 1 hospitalization.
Inactivity and diabetes, there is a connection. A new study finds for every extra hour a day you're sedentary, you raise your risk of diabetes 22%. All the groundhogs are in agreement this year. Punxsutawney Phil, Staten Island Chuck, and Atlanta's General Beauregard Lee are predicting an early spring. This is ABC News.
It's borderline shocking how much energy I have.
Wouldn't you like to feel better, have more energy, and actually be better in just 90 days? No more excuses, because now you can, for free. From your friends at Texas Superfood comes our free ebook, 90 Days to Guaranteed Better Health.
We make Texas Superfood from 55 vine-ripened raw fruits and vegetables. In a capsule or a powder, 1 daily dose of Texas Superfood delivers the healthy benefits of 55, count them, 55 fresh fruits and vegetables. Doctors, pharmacists, and nurses all trust and recommend Texas Superfood. So if you can't, won't, or don't eat more fruits and vegetables every day, Texas Superfood is made for you.
Find out how you can be healthier in just 90 days. Get started with your free ebook, 90 Days to Guaranteed Better Health, and get 10% off your first order by calling us now at 844-FRUIT-55. That's 844-FRUIT-55. Call now, 844-FRUIT-55.
TexasSuperfood.com.
New details are emerging about what happened to 3 dangerous inmates after they chiseled out of a jail and rappelled from the roof to the ground. ABC's Alex Stone has the details.
The 3 inmates planned the escape for about 6 months, according to Orange County investigators. And after they escaped, we now know they kidnapped a taxi driver at gunpoint and held him for close to a week while they fled to Northern California. Sheriff's Captain Jeff Halleck says, and 2 of the inmates had a physical fight at a motel in San Jose.
The information we have is that the fight was about whether or not to kill the taxi cab driver and bury his body.
After that fight, he says, 1 inmate and the taxi driver returned to Southern California, where the inmate turned himself in. Then the other 2 inmates were caught in San Francisco. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Amtrak officials have solved part of the mystery surrounding a loud noise and broken window on a passenger train from New York to Washington. Officials say a rock hit it as it passed through Philadelphia. No one was hurt, but it's unclear if someone threw it. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance, proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins, amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to 2 companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County Engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday, with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge. Yeah. And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we benefit from that? And then I took 2 different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
It's about your life and your money. It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
You don't win by accident. So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment and you form and control your life.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
'Tis the season to give, and Whitney Chevrolet wants to give you the best value for your trade. This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet, and we want to give you what you're looking for. If it's not on our lot, we can pull from our other lots. Whitney Chevrolet wants you to have the best value and the best price. It's all about giving this year. So give Whitney Chevrolet a call or stop by our lot, whitneychev.com.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Just down the road to Whitney's.
Good morning. It's Tuesday here, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, iFIBER ONE News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're checking sports and some great high school sports notes to pass along. But first, a quick check at the forecast, Carol.
It's almost 34, but it is foggy. So if you are traveling, be aware of that.
Here's some information for you from the 2016 West Central District 1 tournament this past weekend for bowling at Pacific Lanes. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schilter, the 2 bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their 3 games, averaging out to be about 159 for Rebecca and 155 for Kaylee. Rebecca now the 2nd alternate for state. Good on all the bowling girls at Shelton for their participation. Well, congratulations to the high climbers divers. The divers took the top 4 places at Narrows League Diving Championships last Thursday. I mentioned the names last week, but in addition, it was the first time in league history that one school grabbed the top 4 spots. John Netzel was the league champ, followed by Troy Crumples, second, Zach Netzel and Mikey Willis, third and fourth, respectively. John and Troy qualified for state on February 19th and 20th, but Zach and Mikey still have a pretty good chance to qualify as well. Congratulations to the climber company and the drill and rifle meet held at Rogers High School on January 30th. Color guard number 2 got first place. Color guard number 1 got second place. It was third place finishes in the armed duels, unarmed duels, armed team, and unarmed team regulation and exhibitions. And the armed team commander picked up second place. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City February 27th, and that'll be their final regular season meet to determine which teams will advance to regional competitions March 19th at Bethel. Was just talking about diving and swimming news for you with the success at the recent Narrows League Swimming Championships. The team swam very well and dropped a load of time. In addition to the 4 divers that I mentioned, we have the following swimmers headed to the district meet on the 12th and the 13th. District swim qualifiers: Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Toney, and Robert Cornwell. Good job to y'all, and that's pretty darn cool stuff here on a sports report this morning. We do have a high school basketball for you at iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com today, 7 o'clock, the tip-off. North Thurston comes to town for girls basketball and also boys basketball. The boys are heading out to Lacey to the Slater-Kinney Annex. 7:11 now. Carol's got a look at the forecast.
Good morning. It's 33. Foggy this morning, so if you're heading out, be aware of that. Maybe give yourself some extra time. The rest of the day will be partly cloudy with some sun, and we'll reach a high of almost 50. The rest of the week calls for rain, even Saturday with a chance of rain in about 46. When we start jumping at the Polar Bear Plunge, which takes place at the Alderbrook Resort in Union. Sunrise has already happened, and right now it's 33.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:12 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. We have got some great guests scheduled here throughout the rest of the morning. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll have 35th District Representative Dan Griffey on the radio with us. Also today, Carrie Lemon talking about the Valentine's dessert and gift auction that's forthcoming, and always a lot of fun, great desserts. Man, tastes so good. Dale's going to be the auctioneer for that one once again. Don Miner in to talk about the Polar Bear Plunge, Carol was just mentioning, and we'll have a conversation about the C Street dump cleanup from somebody from the Department of Ecology. That's all coming up now at 7:12 at iFIBER ONE.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Join Hood Canal Lions Club and iFIBER ONE News Radio for the 7th annual Polar Bear Plunge. All proceeds go to Mason County emergency workers. The fun begins at 11 this Saturday at Alderbrook Resort on beautiful Hood Canal. Here's your chance to help support the emergency workers and volunteers of Mason County. And this year's proceeds will help the Mason County Search and Rescue Dive Unit. Don't miss the 7th annual Hood Canal Lions Polar Bear Plunge.
Papa Murphy's pizzas are hot, and not just in the lots of people like them way. No, I'm talking grab the hot pads, fan the steam, hold your horses or you'll burn your tongue hot. Because you bake all those fresh pizza ingredients in your own oven, and you can taste the difference. When it cools a little, of course. Home bake is signature Papa's Perfect. Half pepperoni, half Hawaiian. Just $10 for a large. Fresh made, fresh baked. Papa Murphy's. Love at 425 degrees.
on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at 7:15 with Jeff and Carol. And on the phone line, 35th District Representative Dan Griffey calling in from the state capitol. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We are well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I miss seeing your bright and shiny faces in the morning. I like doing the interview in your office.
Listen, I can only imagine that you are in Olympia for a very important reason at 7:15 in the morning.
Yeah, my bill that removes the statute of limitation on all sex crimes in Washington State is being heard at 8 o'clock this morning, and I want to get the folks that want to come testify on it prepared and show them how to sign in and where to go. So I had to come in here early.
So 8 o'clock in the morning, first, that sounds to me like one of the first things out of the gate. This appears to be, the way I would see it, a high-profile bill, a high-profile story. Do you get, I don't want to say preferential treatment, but a better slot to make your case at 8 in the morning?
At this point in time, we have so many bills to get done by Friday. I wish we could get more time on this bill, but I don't know that we're going to get a lot of extra time. But I know that the chair of this committee is going to do everything he can to make sure everyone's voice is heard, even if he has to suspend one of the items we're going to talk about to another day.
Okay. So in a very important bill at 8 o'clock. And if someone's hearing this right now, and can they still add their voice or just be in the room to show support?
If you can make it to Olympia by 8 o'clock, absolutely. The Senate's piloting an ability for someone to give remote testimony, which we're really excited about. If they get it off the ground, we might get it over here in the House.
Huh.
Because right now when you sign in, you don't have paper you sign in on.
Yeah.
You have a computer terminal right in the hearing room, and you can sign in with your testimony, whether you're pro or opposed, whether you want to testify or not. And the good news is it used to be that just the chair of the committee and the ranking members could see all of that data. Now I can pull it up, and I can look at how many people are pro, how many are con. I can see what their testimony is. And it also might help me ask better questions from some of the information I see on that screen.
What else are you working on today, Dan?
So the pre-fire mitigation bill that I was telling all of you folks about, looking it up, House Bill 2579, is up for exec today, which means they might vote it out of committee to go to rules. So that's pretty exciting.
Also, yesterday we were talking about kind of a continuation of your work with the elder stories, and it's under our politics page if anyone wants to follow along on iFIBER One News Radio. And we had talked before about how you had connected with Casey Kasem's daughter about a story that we all followed closely coming out of Seebeck. But it appears that Catherine Falk, who was Columbo's daughter, Peter Falk's daughter, also is part of this. I just wanted to get what you think about the Washington Association of Professional Guardians says that the state's current law is strong and lawmakers shouldn't make things overly complicated, I think, in maybe a response to some of the things that you're working towards?
Well, while I respect that association, I have to respectfully disagree with them. We do not have enough adult protections built in. We are seeing a rising, tragic rising in the elder abuse. Elder segregation is used for many reasons, but usually the biggest reason is they want the financial gain that they can attain by having only one voice advising the elderly how they're going to deal with their money. In Casey's case, and all too often many other cases, there is visitation that is wanted. The elderly people want visitation with their families. They want somebody to come in and take a second look at what their living conditions are. And our bill that Linda Kochmar sponsored and I was proud to co-sponsor, it gives, if there is proof that that person would like to have a visitation, that there is a court process in which you can go through and ask to have that visitation. But in my job as a firefighter, I see cases where I turn over to Adult Protective Services over and over and over again, and we see a gradual and predictable, steady decline in their health condition, and all too often we are called to their death.
I believe
after 5 and 6 times that we go out and try to help them. So I'm here to tell you the laws are not strong enough. We do need to have some legal standing for the interested and caring family members to get in there, take a second look, see if there's some more help they can give.
We additionally heard a story coming out of Vancouver just last week, I believe, where a son was taking the his father had passed and he was in a van, and his friend ended up calling the police on him to figure out what was going on in this case. So there are these cases out there. It is pretty, and Carol has something.
Well, I was just going to say, Dan, the issue is so complicated. Do you think this is going to be resolved this session, or?
Sadly, I don't think we're going to get the bill out this year. I'm still praying that we can get it out and we can get it passed, but I'm dedicated to working on it again next year if that's the case. We're seeing a tragic and predictable rise in elder abuse, and we have to do something about it.
Yeah, I agree. But it's so complicated because there's so many sides to it that
I think there's a problem with understanding. Some of the criticisms that I hear about the bill is, the elderly do not want to have to visit people, and that's not what this bill says at all. Is if the person who can't take care of themselves anymore and they're under guardianship wants to have visitations with a family member or an interested party, that isolation is not allowed any longer, and you, the guardian, have to allow for this person to see those loved ones. I like to tell everybody, sometimes love is the best medicine there is out there. I mean, if your emotional well-being, helps you, throughout your life, and when you're kind of when you're in this situation where you've been a person that can take care of yourself your whole life, you now can't. It's demoralizing, and having a family member come in and help you through that can only help.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey with a big event happening at 8 o'clock to have a conversation about his, explain again what we'll be doing at 8 o'clock and the bill that we can follow along in the House bill.
So the bill number is House Bill 2873, and what it simply does is remove the statute of limitations for sex crimes, ranging from rape to, anything that's currently listed under statute as a sex crime. I think it's important to not do a victory lap if somebody committed a rape after 10 years. Mm-hmm. I think if you've committed a rape and the prosecution is able to prove it, we should bring charges, and that person should pay for what they've done. The real problem is under sex crimes, it's not just once that it happens. If somebody has an ability to rape or sexually abuse a child, it's not one. It could be hundreds, and it could be thousands. And this is a case that if we get a prosecution, we could be saving 200, 300 to 1,000 children from having to experience that sexual abuse. And I think akin to murder, we have no statute of limitations on murder in the state of Washington. We should not have a statute of limitations on this crime.
So, Dan, today is the public hearing. So what happens next after this public hearing today?
Well, if we make compelling argument, and I think we will, the bill will be exec, and that means it moves out to Rules Committee and then onto the floor for final passage. So there's still some process that needs to happen, but I'm hoping that the chairman wants to hear it. I think the chairman of the committee wants to exec it. I have a senior member of the Democrat caucus as number 2 on the bill, Tina Orwell, and she has been kind of the front champion of these issues, and I wanted to help out.
Very nice, and we'll follow along with that and hopefully have some good news when you come back a week from today at this time. Once again, 35th District Representative Dan Griffey, I do appreciate you calling in, and have a good day at work today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time with you as always.
7:25 at iFIBER 1. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some other news notes from around the Northwest here on iFIBER 1 News Radio. It's Daybreak with Jeff and Carol.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
Previously on the Under the Hood Show.
This would be Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go ahead.
I've got an 87 Honda that I just picked up for a song, like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Go Under the Hood, Saturdays at noon on iFIBER 1 News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Say, what's for lunch?
Breakfast.
No, what's for lunch?
Oh, yeah, breakfast.
Breakfast for lunch?
Yep.
Then what's for dinner?
Breakfast is.
I thought you said breakfast was for lunch.
Oh, I totally did.
But now you're saying breakfast is for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
So, wait, is lunch for breakfast?
No, breakfast is for breakfast. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, which includes the Egg McMuffin, hot cakes, and hash browns, anytime is delicious breakfast time.
Man, I'm heading to McDonald's. Have a good afternoon.
Don't you mean good morning?
I do now.
McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location.
This love letter's for my sweet beauty. Your scent drives me all sorts of cray. Every time you touch my lips, ooh, how it makes my day. Rich, smooth, fresh, and steamy. Dang, you're a dream. So let me give you some sugar, and then perhaps some cream. There's no denying your love for a rich, smooth, fresh brewed McCafe. And now, get any size for just $1. A la carte only. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER 1 at 7:27, and Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news coming up in just about 3 minutes here on iFIBER 1. After that, ABC Sports. Carol will give us a detailed look at the forecast, and still coming up today, Carrie Lemon about the United Way dessert, Valentine's dessert and gift auction, which is upcoming. Also, Don Miner talking about the 7th annual Mason County Emergency Services Polar Bear Plunge. It's going to be out at the Alderbrook this weekend, and we are going to get things underway right around 11 o'clock, and it's a lot of fun. Have you even been out once for this yet, Carol?
Not for the plunge itself, no.
Oh, my God. What a fun time. We get out there, and there's music. Dale's got the PA going, and he's hooping and hollering and getting everybody going. You know what's crazy to see is that we're over here belly aching about the water, and it's so cold, and we jump in, and brrr. And then every year, it always seems, they get some kids that are like just 10 or so, you know, young kids, whatever. And they'll jump in the water, and they're splashing around, and they're like in the water for more than 15 seconds, which is longer than I'm in there for.
Well, kids, they run around without their clothes on half the time, or their jackets off. I mean, you're going to have to get on Kaiser when he gets old enough to go to school.
I know, you got to put some pants on.
I'm not taking my jacket. It's -10.
I mean, is it really?
It's uncool.
It's uncool to wear your coat
I
in
guess
10-degree weather, but they just run around there. They have such a great time, and we all will have a great time this weekend at the beautiful, what a beautiful location for it,
It's going to be a little different this year, too. We're all going to possibly run in at once or 2 groups. We'll see when we get out there.
11 to 2 at the Alderbrook, and proceeds benefit Mason County Emergency Services. So you can still find out more information there at Googling Mason County Emergency Services Polar Bear Plunge. That's kind of the best way that I can get to it. We talked about Puxatawny Phil. He saw no shadow, which means spring begins.
That's what they say, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. And there's some things that now we can do in the spring because of some fisheries and wildlife. What do you got
You
here?
don't have to wait till spring. You still can get out and enjoy the outdoors. There's you can fish blackmouth salmon. That's open in most areas of the Puget Sound. Blackmouth Chinook, including Hood Canal, Marine Area 11, which is Tacoma and Vashon. Also, there's rainbow trout. That's a little farther north, east of Washington and some of the lakes. You can do the razor clam dig, which starts February 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always raining at the beach, right?
A lot of good stuff
so you
going
can get
on.
out there and dig. We're going to get Jeff out there one of these times, and we're going to get him with his hands.
Maybe I'll get my buddy Brian, who won a clam gun at Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
We're going to get his hands digging in the sand.
Digging anything in the sand.
You're
With a
gonna-
shovel, I will.
You're going to be surprised how much you like it.
Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance, proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins, amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to 2 companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County Engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday, with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we benefit from that? And then I took 2 different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now. Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful. Roger that.
Get charged up with Mountain Dew Kickstart, now in 4 energizing new flavors like Midnight Grape. It all starts with a kick.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been publicly released and funded the Arab Spring, where they get the students, everybody out the street. But then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup. And then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
Kicking on all cylinders for their new coach. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Schreiber reporting on sports. Riding high under head coach Tyronn Lue. The Cleveland Cavaliers look to seal a rare win in Indianapolis Monday night.
Irving works off a high Thompson screen, fires an 18-footer and knocks it down. Irving now has a team-high 21 points.
John Michael on WTAM with the call. The Cavs' big three, Love, Irving, and James, combined for 68 points in an overtime win against the Pacers. The first time the Cavs won in Indiana in 6 years. Around the NBA, Gordon Hayward put up 27 points in the Jazz overtime win over the Bulls. The Spurs remain undefeated at home, beating the Magic. The Pistons squeaked by the Nets in Brooklyn. Thunder over the Wizards. Grizzlies beat the Pelicans. Kings win against the Bucks. And the Nuggets ruin the Raptors' 11-game winning streak. They'll be battling it out come Sunday, but Peyton Manning and Cam Newton aren't exchanging jabs off the field. Speaking at Super Bowl 50 Media Night, Manning had nothing but praise for the young Panthers quarterback.
There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be the MVP on Saturday night. And what he's done in a short time being an NFL quarterback, he's been awesome.
As for Newton, he spoke highly of his counterpart, saying he's happy people are linking the two.
Well, anytime you get compared to Peyton Manning, you must be doing something right. So I take it for what it's worth.
It's not official yet, but Detroit Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson is reportedly ready to hang up his cleats. At just 30 years old, the news has sent shockwaves throughout the NFL, but concerns about long-term injuries may prompt more early retirements. Another player in his early 30s is calling it quits. Two-time Super Bowl champion Justin Tuck is stepping away from the game. Dave Schreiber, ABC Sports.
7:36 on a Tuesday morning, and a good morning to you. Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner, and it's Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Got some great news for you regarding Shelton sports. But first, Carol, what's the forecast looking like?
33 and foggy.
Some information from the 2016 West Central District 1 tournament this past weekend for bowling at Pacific Lanes. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schilter, two bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their games. There are 3 games. Rebecca averaged 159, Kaylee 155. Rebecca now the second alternate for state, so good on the bowlers, and congratulations. Also, congratulations going out to the high climber divers. First time in league history that one school grabbed the top 4 spots. John Netzel, league champ. Troy Crumpel, second. Zach Netzel and Mikey Willis, third and fourth, respectively. John and Troy qualified for state, but Zach and Mikey still have a pretty good chance to qualify as well. And additionally, over the past 2 years, Coach Fallon has been the most successful diving coach here in the great state. Congratulations to Climber Company and the results of the drill and rifle meet held at Rogers High School on the 30th. Color Guard 2 got first place. Color Guard 1 got second place. And more awards awarded throughout the competition. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City on February 27th. The final regular season meet to determine which teams advancing to the regional competition held in March at Bethel. And I mentioned the divers a second ago. Congratulations to the swimmers as well at the Narrows League Swimming Championships. The following swimmers are headed to the district meet on the 12th and the 13th. That's Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Toney, and Robert Cornwell. Good luck to you at districts, and good luck to all the high climbers as they move forward with winter sports. Tonight on iFiber1newsradio.com, we have a girls basketball game for you. North Thurston comes to town. The Rams, North Thurston Rams, that's what that is. And the players in progress, likely to be the halftime performance tonight. The boys are heading to North Thurston to play at the Slater Kinney Annex. Tomorrow, nothing on the sports schedule. The 4th, though, more basketball. We'll have another game for you on iFIBER1newsradio.com. And then the 5th, which is Friday, there's some wrestling tournaments going on. So good luck to the wrestlers this upcoming weekend. That's the latest in sports. Now, Carol has a check of the weather.
Good morning. It's 33, foggy this morning. So if you're heading out, give yourself a little bit of extra time. It'll be cloudy the rest of the day, and we will have a little bit of sun peeking out, and we'll reach a high of almost 50. The rest of the week calls for rain. Even Saturday, chance of rain when we have the polar bear plunge taking place at the Alderbrook Resort and Union. And on Sunday, 70 degrees.
What?
In
Where?
Santa Clara
Oh,
for the Super Bowl. So if you're heading down there, one of the lucky ones, about a $5,000 ticket.
Yes, they are these days.
Good for you. Right now, it's 33.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
740 here at iFIBER One News Radio. Terry Lemon from United Way of Mason County coming up here in a couple of moments to talk about the upcoming Valentine's dessert and gift auction, which is coming up. We've got the stories on iFIBER1newsradio.com about that and how you can get involved with some delicious desserts. And Dale's the auctioneer for that, and he does a great job getting a lot of folks to open up their wallets a little bit more, a little deeper, and give to a great cause of United Way. Under the politics tab of iFIBER1newsradio.com, Carol, one of the big stories that has been percolating here has to do with the State Patrol, and the lawmakers are deciding that they have got to do something with the amount of loss coming out of State Patrol. Here's two proposals by lawmakers giving a pay raise to State Patrol officers. The bills scheduled for hearings yesterday in the Senate Transportation Committee seek to make patrol salaries competitive with other local law enforcement agencies. A report expected to be presented at the hearing says troopers are unhappy and underpaid. Here's the thing. I was talking to a neighbor of mine who is in State Patrol, and he is got some 24 years on the job. And what he was telling me is that at graduation, you know, the graduates will go up and receive their award, their diploma or whatever you get. And then after graduation, I mean, not necessarily as they're walking off the stage, but within that time frame, King County, Seattle, Spokane, these other counties are giving flyers. Hey, now that you're all trained up, why don't you come over here? So this guy at 24 years at State Patrol, a 2-year person in Seattle makes the same amount of money. A 2-year, a cop on the beat for 2.
Seattle or a county?
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Are you a do-it-yourselfer or a direct-it-yourselfer?
Every weekend, people tell us about overspending on projects they could have handled themselves for lots less money.
And we hear from people who ended up overspending because they tried to do something they should have called in a pro to tackle.
Well, we'll help you sort it out. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Got a remodeling or a repair project?
We can help you decide whether to do it yourself or direct it yourself this weekend on the Money Fit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Do you have financial questions you need answered but are unsure who to ask? We're here to help. Join us for ABC Mason's 3rd annual Super Saturday Financial Information Fair on February 6th at the Shelton-Timberland Regional Library from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Enjoy free snacks and enter to win fabulous prizes while increasing your financial know-how. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And best of all, Super Saturday is free and open to the public. For more information about Super Saturday, visit www.abcmasoncounty.org.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's 7:45 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. I'm Jeff Slickey along with Carol Gardner, and we have got a great special guest in studio with us this morning. It's Carrie Levin from United Way. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us.
We have the 8th annual Valentine Dessert and Gift Auction to benefit United Way of Mason County coming up on the 12th, a week from Friday.
Yeah.
And it's at the Civic Center. This is a great event.
It is.
I mean, 8 years now, and the desserts are delicious, and it helps to go to a great cause. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do there.
Yeah, well, it's very well taken by the community. I had questioned it, a couple of months ago and said, well, what do people really think about it? And it's our favorite event of the year. So it's really well taken. Lots of goodies donated. We really enjoy it because our small towns really get hit up a lot for donations, and this is a little different. So we're asking individuals to bake for us. So we certainly do have Smoke and Moses doing a dessert for us as well. But so it's a little different. We do have a couple of gifts that we've got, like wine baskets and stuff like that. So we do have that as well, paired with some of the items.
What's great about it is that it's just a lunch. So if people are busy working in the downtown core, they can hop over, make their bids, win their bids, and then get back to work and not really miss any time.
Exactly. So that makes it a little different too. And a lot of businesses get, plate of cupcakes and then they'll take it back to work. Or some don't. That's fine too. Whatever you want to do. No obligation there. Yeah.
Once again, you got Dale doing the announcements, and he makes it a lot of fun and really gets people going on donating a lot of money.
He makes it a lot of fun for sure.
So this is your major fundraiser. So what happens with the money? Where does it go?
So it goes into our community fund, and then that is decided by the individuals in the community, 35 on a panel, to decide where the money goes. And that is actually coming up for the applications are going to be due. So we're now accepting them for any nonprofit, school, government can apply for funds through United Way. That's a 2-year cycle. Those are on our website right now, and they're due March 31st. So the money goes into a pot that's then decided on which programs best support the goals of United Way of Mason County and our community, and those are the ones that are funded.
United Way of Mason County as well. In addition to this, we talked about this being a big fundraiser. Are there other things throughout the year that people can key in on or talk more about that? Another one maybe in the fall or...
Yeah, so we have our Day of Caring, and this year it's typically in June, but it's always that weird week to where either it's the week of getting out of school or teachers just got out of school. So we're considering changing that to August.
Oh.
And we're also considering maybe changing up that event a little bit more. We really want to get families involved, businesses involved, a lot more community members. And, we have a lot of organizations, Kiwanis and Rotaries. And, so we're considering doing something where we bring everybody together to do a big project that day.
It really, transforms the area after just that one day. The amount of hours put in by the volunteers is just amazing.
Yeah. And value of a volunteer is about $22 an hour. So we really appreciate our volunteers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do we need to RSVP for the luncheon coming up next Friday?
Yeah, so they're $20 right now is the ticket price. That's until Friday so that we can get our count in for the lunch that's being completely donated by Maple Glen Senior Living.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we certainly welcome people. It's just $25. So they can come to the door if they want, but we would, of course, prefer an RSVP so $20 by Friday.
So a lunch, dessert auction, raffle, and balloon pop. There's a bunch of games that is played during the event as well. UnitedWayMasonCo.org is the website. Carol, do you have anything? With tickets at $20 and $25, little pre-sale, and then at the door for $25.
So you could just pop in and auction for a dessert if you didn't, pay your door fee and then do the silent auction and not really stay for lunch.
Right.
Or,
yeah.
Is it a set thing or is it less formal?
Seated.
Okay.
And we're actually doing a buffet this year. So folks can go up and grab their own meal and more of one thing and less of another. And then the raffles going on and the balloon pop. This year we're doing 2 balloon pops. Last year they were $20 and we did 20 of them. This year we're also going to offer an option that is a $10 balloon. So for the folks that don't really want to spend the $20, we can offer that. And of course the raffle tickets are $1 as well.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
It is. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention a couple of our sponsors.
Please.
So that, of course, our printing sponsor is always the Shopper. They're always fantastic in helping us with that. And the meal, again, 100% donated. This is the second year that United Way was able to save over $1,000 on our meal.
Wow.
I think they said it was valued at $2,000 this year. So, and advertising is the Journal, and then our radio and media sponsor is the iFIBER ONE Newsradio. So thank you guys so much for that. There's still some openings for our table sponsors, but so far we've got our gold sponsor, Brad Miller with New York Life Insurance, and the other sponsors are Melanie Bacall at State Farm, Shelton Dental Excellence, and Hood Canal Communications. So those are the ones that we have so far, but there's certainly still openings for any table sponsors and comes with lots of goodies. So
wonderful. Carrie Lemon from United Way of Mason County talking about the 8th annual Valentine's Dessert and Gift Auction coming up on the 12th. It's a week from Friday, and it's just from 11:30 to 1:30. So hop in during your lunch break at the Shelton Civic Center, 525 West Coda Street. Tickets can be purchased at the website, as I mentioned, UnitedWayMasonCo.org, or call 426-4999, or stop by the office, 724 West Railroad.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Yep. Thanks for having us. I'm going to mention one more thing that if you are interested in being on that committee where you decide where the funds go in Mason County, please give us a call. So we are also opening and starting to assemble that committee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
7:51 now at iFIBER ONE. We'll take a break, and when we come back after the Old Farmer's Almanac, we'll talk about some other news notes just before 8 o'clock on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
It is WeatherLore's biggest day of the year. We'll take a closer look at nature's weather clues on a Groundhog's Day edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Tuesday, February 2nd. It is the 33rd day of the year, and singer Graham Nash has a birthday. Today's groundhog traditions are great fun, but there is no scientific basis for believing we'll get any reliable weather forecast. That's not to say, though, there is no predictive value in watching for weather signs in nature. Many animals and plants are especially sensitive to changes in air pressure. Birds and bats are known to fly closer to the ground before a rainstorm. Likewise, chickweed, tulips, dandelions, and other plants are known to close their petals. And the Chinese are convinced that animals can reliably predict earthquakes. They've set up observation posts in zoos to act as early warning quake sensors. And there is your Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning. It is 7:53 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, Daybreak with Jeff and Carol on the morning show here. We've got news coming up in a little bit and more on the way. So this weekend, you want to switch? You can switch. I'll talk while we're doing this. So we are going to have on the radio this Sunday the Super Bowl. And our coverage gets underway at 11. And kickoff will be right around 3:30. Carol's going to have to do extra duty this year because she's supporting Carolina. So she's going to have to bring to her Super Bowl parties some amends.
Some amends.
You're going to have to make amends with people.
Maybe all my friends are Carolina.
Well, okay. Keep telling yourself that. That's great. And she is...
Regardless of who you're for. You have food and you have beverages.
Well, you got to show up to something. If you're having a party or you're going to a party, you got to show up. So I thought it'd be kind of fun for Carol to come up with a drink that we could do either alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, I've got some maple bacon pecan brittle to talk about.
Right.
So what's the drink you're going to...
This might go with maple pecan brittle.
Okay, so
what's hard to say. So this is called the 3 and Out. And it's a version of the spicy shandy, and I got it from the Martha Stewart website. And basically, you could have your beer. You can everybody can have beer or whatever. But this sort of brings in your beer, a non-alcoholic beverage, lemonade, bar alcohol, or whatever you want to call it, vodka.
Sure.
So you can have all 3 different, or you can split them up. But if you put them all together, it's called a 3 and Out.
Wait, so you add lemon, vodka, beer, what else goes into this?
So you put lemon, honey, chili.
Chili? Like what chili?
Chilies, like a red chili.
Like jalapeno chilies?
Like a dried chili
like
pepper.
A spicy chili.
Yes, a spicy pepper.
Okay.
So you add vodka, lemon juice, honey, and the chili pepper to a cocktail shaker.
Uh-huh.
Stir the ingredients in the bottom of the shaker till the honey's dissolved.
Okay, got it.
And then you add ice.
Uh-huh.
Then you shake. And then you strain it into a tall glass. And then you fill the glass with a Pilsner or any type of a light beer. And then you garnish with lemon. So it sounds actually really good. You take your...
What do you do with... So do the chilies...
You take your lemon, honey, and
powder.
You take your seeds. You can keep your seeds in, but if you strain it, you're not going to have your seeds in there.
Whoa.
So the thing about chili is the seeds make it hotter.
Yes.
So if you don't want it that hot, take out the seeds before you put them into your shaker.
And that's the capsaicin stuff that chilies are.
It makes it a lot hotter. So you put your lemon, honey, chilies with or without seeds and vodka.
Okay, but wait a second. You're adding vodka and beer. What is this? How much of this? Like how much?
Well, you shot a beer or shot of vodka, and then you fill the rest with beer if you have like a tall glass. Haven't you ever had beer?
I've had beer before, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shandy, which is basically beer lemonade.
Oh, beer. So it's like a kind of a fake Arnold Palmer, which is lemonade and iced tea.
No, it tastes nothing like that.
I know, but you're combining a drink and lemonade.
Yeah.
So if I want to make this for myself, I just have lemonade, honey, and some chilies.
Yes.
Well, those chilies would add into great this next one.
Yeah. You would just have regular lemonade.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, that doesn't sound as fun.
Well, lemonade with have you ever had lemonade with chili peppers?
No.
It just adds a little bit of a kick. So it's a little different than usual.
This actually sounds great for the maple bacon pecan brittle that you can make and take with you with those hot chilies and pecans and bacon. I mean, it all kind of goes together. So a little sugar, cup of sugar, half cup of water, 6 tablespoons light corn syrup. I like the Caro syrup. That's what I use to make my gummies. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, pure, straight from the tree would be the best. A cup of pecans. Oh, they're so good. Fresh pecans. A teaspoon of vanilla extract. I only use vanilla extract from Mexico these days. It is so delicious and so good. Whatever. And then 3/4 cup crumbled, cooked maple bacon. So basically you put it all together.
Wait. How do you make your maple bacon? Or do you buy it that way?
Well, I could buy maple bacon with maple flavor on it. And then to cook the best in the oven. You lay out the strips in the oven at about 375 for 20 minutes, and it makes great bacon. So then you crumble it all together, and basically you're making a peanut brittle. Only you've got some amazing ingredients like pecans, bacon,
You say pecan, I say pecan.
Either one. And some white sugar for your maple bacon pecan brittle. Very delicious to go with your 3 and out.
Yeah.
I get it because it's a Super Bowl. You go 3 and out.
Yeah, it's a classic Super Bowl drink. 3 and out.
Very nice. All right. Very cool. So we have to try some of these this weekend. It is the Super Bowl on iFIBER One News Radio with Carol's Carolina Panthers.
And Jeff, you know so you're Broncos? Are you going to even commit?
I'm not even going to
Mr.
commit.
Non-committal makes fun of everybody else.
Is that right? Because I can
you
straddle.
Won't commit.
I can straddle the line.
At the end of the game, you're like, oh, that's who I was for.
At the end of the game, that's when I go into the back room and I come out wearing a jersey. Oh, you guys didn't know I was wearing this the whole time?
Yeah, exactly.
Go team. Go Sports Team 1. 7:59.
Go Sports Team A.
Sports
Team B.
I'm going for whoever wins the coin toss. That's my
we all heard it here.
My prediction. Whoever
on iFIBER One News Radio.
Coin toss is going to win the whole dang thing.
All right. That's your prognosticator, factitious procrastinator.
Puxatani is the other word you were looking for. It is Groundhog Day.
It is. Let's not repeat it, though.
It's 8 o'clock at Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
I'm Karen Chase. Ted Cruz says his comments dissing New York values helped propel him to victory in the Iowa caucuses. He beat Donald Trump 28 to 24%. More from ABC's Aaron Katersky.
Donald Trump likes to brag he makes the best deals, but he couldn't close the one here in Iowa.
I'm just honored. I'm really honored. And I want to congratulate Ted.
Trump predicted eventual victory, but Ted Cruz won the first GOP caucus.
To God be the glory.
Republican turnout set a record. Aaron Katersky, ABC News, Des Moines.
Marco Rubio says he knows why he scored a strong third-place finish.
I give the party the best chance, not just to unify the conservative movement, but to grow it, to take our message to people that don't vote Republican now, grow our party, grow our movement, and defeat Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders.
Clinton's campaign is claiming victory, but Bernie Sanders says it was so close it's a virtual tie. ABC News contributor and political strategist Donna Brazil says they both won.
Hillary Clinton will probably get the most delegates, but Bernie Sanders has fuel to go forward.
The FBI is joining the investigation into the Flint, Michigan water contamination crisis. Did El Nino bring enough rain to end California's drought restrictions on water use? State officials are expected to announce today whether to extend emergency conservation orders. Punxsutawney Phil is out with his annual prediction. His handlers made the big announcement that when it comes to this winter, the worst is probably over.
There is no shadow to be cast. An early spring is my forecast.
Apple is reportedly planning its next product launch March 15th. Tech blogs say the company will unveil a new smaller iPhone called the 5SE with a 4-inch screen, a new iPad, and new Apple Watch Band options. Bernie Madoff is doing as well as could be expected in prison, according to his lawyer, but his wife and family stopped visiting years ago. The attorney says Madoff has shown little remorse to the investors that he built, saying he can somehow operate without a conscience. This is ABC News.
If you're in trouble with the IRS, you probably panic every time the phone rings, or you dread opening the mail. Even hearing your doorbell can raise your blood pressure. Put an end to your nightmare with one phone call to the experts at Rush Tax Resolution. If you owe $10,000 or more in personal or business taxes, have unfiled returns, received an audit notice, or have been threatened with a levy or garnishment, you are in way over your head. You need to call the pros at Rush Tax Resolution at 877-554-RUSH to deal with the IRS so you don't have to. They will negotiate with the IRS to get you a permanent solution to your tax problem. You may even qualify to have up to 85% of your taxes forgiven. And if you're not sure what the IRS has in your file, call today and they'll give you a free transcript analysis. Call 877-554-RUSH today. That's 877-554-RUSH. Or log on to rushtaxresolution.com. 877-554-7874.
Where do you want to end up when you retire? The experts are out with a list of the best places to sit back and take it easy. ABC's Daria Albinger has the details.
Maybe you're heading into retirement or you're just thinking about it. Where you live and that next phase of your life can make a big difference. Here are Wallet Hub's top picks.
The best states here were Colorado at 5th, South Carolina, South Dakota 3,
Then Wyoming at second, and Florida, big shocker, at number 1.
Spokeswoman Jill Gonzalez says most of them don't tax Social Security or pension incomes. Florida gets high marks for warm weather. At the bottom of the list, Hawaii and Rhode Island. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Bill Cosby is in a Pennsylvania courtroom at this hour where his attorney is trying to convince a judge to dismiss a felony sex assault charge against him. High schools in France are asking that students be allowed to smoke on the school grounds. That way, they won't have to gather on the street and become targets of terror. About a third of French teens, 15 to 19, smoke. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance, proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins, amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to 2 companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County Engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday, with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we benefit from that? And then I took 2 different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Take control of your money. Start by listening to The Dave Ramsey Show.
See, as long as something is specific and measurable and you give it a time limit, immediately 6th grade math kicks in and you can do the division, long division. Say, I want to make $100,000 this year. Great. How much is that a month? $8,300. Do you sell for a living? If you're on commission, you can divide that out, know exactly what you need to sell in order to make your $2,100 a week, which is $100,000 a year. You need to divide out what it takes to get where you want to go.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Hey, just a little note to say thank you for the outstanding work that you, Dennis, and especially Jorge and the crew performed for us on our roofing project. On a scale of 1 to 10, we rate it at 10.5. It was a fantastic feeling from start to finish. Your company is a first-class operation and will definitely give your name to all of our friends and family if they're in need of your services.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730.
For iFIBER One News Radio, it's Daybreak, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Hello.
Good morning.
We've got sports forthcoming and a conversation about the polar bear plunge this weekend. But, Carol, first, what's the weather look? Oh, man, it still looks really foggy out there.
Is it so foggy? Well, we've had sunrise.
Yeah, I know that.
And it's just a little below 34 degrees with fog.
Oof. Here's some information for you from the 2016 West Central District 1 tournament this past weekend at beautiful Pacific Lanes for high climber bowling. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schulter, the two bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their games. Rebecca averaged about 159 and Kaylee about 155. Rebecca is now the second alternate for state. And thanks to Coach Dan Gagnon for getting us that information about the bowling team. More high climber news for you. Congratulations to the divers and Coach Fallon. The divers took the top 4 places at the Narrows League Diving Championships last Thursday. I mentioned that last week to you, but it's the first time in league history that one school grabbed the top 4 spots. John Netzel, league champ. Troy Crumple, second. Zach Netzel and Mikey Willis, third and fourth, respectively. John and Troy qualified for the state meet on the 19th and 20th of the month. And Zach and Mikey still have a very good chance to qualify as well. Congratulations to the climber company, the drill and rifle meet that was held at Rogers High School on the 30th. Color Guard Team 2 got first place. Color Guard Team 1 got second place. And it was the third place finishes for the unarmed team regulation, armed team regulation, unarmed duels exhibition, and armed duels exhibition. Also, the armed team commander came in at second. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City on the 27th, and it'll be the final regular season meet to determine which teams will advance to the regional competition held in March at Bethel. We mentioned the divers. Well, the following swimmers are headed to the district meet on the 12th and 13th. District swim qualifiers are Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Toney, and Robert Cornwell. Good luck to everybody who is moving on to district and further into state. Tonight on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Shelton girls basketball live from the Mini Dome, taking on the Rams of North Thurston right around 7 o'clock. We'll get that game underway. The boys are in Lacey at North Thurston, taking on the Rams there. Nothing on the sports docket for the 3rd tomorrow, but the 4th, we'll have more basketball for you on iFIBER1newsradio.com. And then starting on the 5th and the 6th this weekend, we have some wrestling tournaments. So good luck to everybody there. It's 8:11 now, and here's Carol with a check of the weather.
Good morning. It's 34. It's still foggy. So if you're heading out, be aware. Maybe give yourself some extra time. The rest of the day will be partly cloudy with some sun, and we'll reach a high of almost 50. The rest of the week calls for rain, and Saturday there is a chance of rain. The temp's going to be about 46 when we start jumping at the Polar Bear Plunge, taking place at the Alderbrook Resort in Union. But on Sunday, it looks like a perfect day for Super Bowl 50. About 70 degrees in Santa Clara. Right now, it's 34.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:12 here at iFIBER One, and a good morning to you. AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Follow us on the Facebook as well. You can see us on the YouTube, on our YouTube channels, where we have not only the Daybreak program, all 3 hours every morning on the YouTube, but sports highlights and basketball games as well. 8:12 here, and coming up next, Don Miner and Justin Gravatt from the Polar Bear Plunge will be on. We'll sit with them, talk with them about what's going to happen this upcoming weekend, what some of the raffle items are, and how you can still get involved. That's all coming up next on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Peninsula Credit Union presents Phil. PHIL stands for Peninsula Home Improvement Loan. Designed to help you get things done around the house, PHIL can help you a little or a lot. This is not a second mortgage. With a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, you can get 7.24% APR on a 60-month loan or 7.49% APR for 120 months. From replacing the roof to new flooring and everything home-related in between, take advantage of a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, and PHIL will help you get the job done. Call Peninsula Credit Union today. 800-426-1601. That's 800-426-1601. Or apply online at pcfcu.org. OAC. See representatives for details. Limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Annual percentage rate is effective as of June 11, 2014. Loan amounts from $500 to $15,000. Terms available from 60 months up to 120 months. For payment examples, call 800-426-1601.
Looking for a more exciting place to play? Discover the newly expanded gaming floor and awesome new sports bar at Lucky Eagle Casino. You'll find hundreds of new machines on the floor, plus 20 HD TVs, a huge big screen, 35 beers on tap, and great food in the sports bar. So what are you waiting for? Come get your game on at Lucky Eagle Casino and Hotel, I-5 to exit 88, Rochester, Washington. Now more than ever, where you belong. Details at luckyeagle.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at 8:15. Jeff and Carol on Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Got some great guests in studio this morning talking about the Hood Canal Lions and the Mason County Emergency Services Polar Bear Plunge. Don Miner and Justin Gravatt, and good morning to you both. It's good to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
We have a big event coming up this weekend, and it's always been a lot of fun. And this helps out Mason County Emergency Services. You can get information on the website, justingravatt.wix.com/MC Polar Bear Plunge, or Google Mason County Emergency Services Polar Bear Plunge, gets you right there. So, 7th annual. Great time now at the Alderbrook, a little different feel to the jumping event that's going on, just 11 to 2. What can you tell us about this thing that's coming up?
Well, basically, we decided this year to go ahead and jump in just 2 waves.
Okay.
So the questions come up, how are we going to get out quickly? And so you want to jump near the railing and be able to hop out quickly. But, in this way, we're hoping to get more people in, more people out, and have people involved. We've got lots of great raffle items that we're going to be doing in between the 2 jumps, and hoping to get a good turnout.
Alderbrook's been kind enough to provide a room for us, for everyone to get in and get a little warm and shower and that type of thing, so that we have really some nice cooperation with not only them, but many, many others, including KMAS.
Yeah, because it's an active, hotel. There are people that are staying there this weekend, and so we all kind of come in and make a lot of hooping and hollering, and it is a lot of fun.
I'm reminded of last year as we got just starting to set up, and 3 ladies came down to see what was going on, apparently staying at the hotel, and indicated, gee, with that type of thing, can we jump? Sure. We'd be happy to have you. So they went upstairs and changed into their swimsuits and came down and turned out to be the first jumpers and before our designated first jumpers. And we're excited and said they'd be back again this year. We'll see.
Oh, what fun. I remember last year as well when Sheriff Casey Salisbury jumped, and speaking to staying close to the edge. He jumped way out there, and then you got to swim all the way back and you're freezing cold. These are some of the tips I'm trying to share with Carol before she jumps for her first time. Let's talk about some of these raffle items that are forthcoming. There's some pretty good ones. For example, raffle item 1, and so this is a whole packet that you can get. Is that correct?
Yeah. Last year we raffled off each individual item and took quite a bit of time because we get such great community support for this event. And so we went ahead and bundled up these packages to provide even larger, more enticing packages. Hopefully we can get some good raffle sales and it's nice.
I would say so. Example like this Dine Around Mason County raffle. So not only do you get a $25 gift card to the Union Square Deli, but also to Happy Gardens, $10 gift certificate to Sisters, and then the Dairy Queen. So you really are dining around the county. I mean, that's a pretty great thing.
Yeah.
How does the raffle work? We get tickets there at the event?
We do at $3 for $5 for 3 tickets and 8 tickets for 10.
Okay.
We'll be selling. We have people going through the crowd and selling. Plus, we'll have a table there. We'll have also a table for Alderbrook's providing clam chowder for everybody that attends.
Oh wow!
Now, of course, we'll have a little donation jar there for people to drop something in if they would. And the cooperation has just been tremendous with Hood Canal Communication, Green Diamond, Tacoma Utility, Tacoma Power, and so many more. In fact, speaking of raffle tickets, the Bell Fair has been one of our bigger sponsors. We have 20 or 25 actual sponsors out of Bell Fair, which is just tremendous. We've got a great salesman there, Art Escalante, who happens to be with the search and rescue team here in the county. And for the past several years, he's just done a tremendous job, as others have here in Shelton and in Mason County.
So you pick, so this is your annual county emergency services fundraiser. So do you pick a certain service that gets most of the fundraising, or do you sort of spread it out?
Well, we have 4 really in the county. And the reason for that is that these 4 groups tied into the Sheriff's Department do not receive county tax funds at all. And so we try to help them out a little bit, that being search and rescue, the the dive team, the canine unit, and the chaplains fund. And we write our checks to these individual groups based on what we take in, and then present them at the monthly Sheriff's Breakfast. It'll be in February, of course, the last Friday in February, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And so it's kind of an exciting thing to go from sales to plunge to distribution of the funds. In addition, we make a contribution to the Union Fire Department, given the fact they provide ambulance and some emergency service people out there for us. So it's a lot of cooperation with people all over the county.
Every year it gets bigger and bigger, and it's so impressive to see. But when you talk to folks, you say, "Oh, what are you doing this week?" Well, I'm gonna jump in the water. It's freezing cold. It's a polar bear plunge. Why do you think that this is so successful? Why do you think that people are putting themselves through this cold weather jump to help out the Mason County Emergency Services?
Well, I think it's a temporary issue. You know, it's a temporary pain. You're in, you're out. You know, unlike maybe deciding to run for a marathon or something like that, where it involves training. You're in, you're out. It's kind of really exciting when you're in the water. It's pretty exciting, and you're anxious to get out. But it's fun. It's fun, and again, it helps a lot of great services that don't get our public funds.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do we need to sign up for anything before 11 o'clock Saturday? Would that be helpful, or should we all show up to the Alderbrook about 10:30 or 11 or so?
Really, just to show up is fine.
Okay.
Just to show up. Yeah. Right now, we'll probably do our raffle about 12:30. So in between the 2 jumps, we're kind of planning on doing a jump at 12 and a jump at 1. If all goes according to plan, we'll do the raffles in between. Right now, most likely, if you just showed up and weren't signed up, you'd probably end up jumping closer to that 1 o'clock time. So get there about 12 o'clock and get some raffle tickets and hopefully win some of these great prizes, because there's about 7 or 8 great raffle items that all equal up to a decent amount of money and a decent amount of prizes. The cinemas is always great. Local ranch, Hood Canal Communications all put in great money for this, and so it's a lot of fun.
The Les Schwab has been good, both in Shelton and Belfair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of almost a competition between the two. Belfair last year donated $150 in service. And again, Les Schwab here in Shelton this year joined the team, and they're going in with $100 plus. So it's kind of competitive even with the sponsors.
I like that. I like it when that happens.
Yeah, let me mention that one of our first jumpers this year will be Al Hedstrom. Now, that name is kind of unfamiliar to you, but he's from Silverdale, and he is our zone chairman for, I think, I don't know, a number of clubs, but a lot of clubs in the greater Seattle and Mason and Pierce and Thurston County area. So he's kind of what we call our king lion.
Uh-huh.
And we try to run that tradition. Now, next year's king lion will be Jan Weatherly from our club.
Uh-huh.
She's in Olympia Host and in all ours and the Hoodsport Club also. So we just kind of put the pressure on these folks. Then they go out and solicit and try and get funds to help the cause. In addition, the Sheriff's Department under Sheriff Salisbury every year has a big jar there and encourages his deputies and department people to put money into that. See, we have 3 prizes there for plaques for the youth that can raise the most money for this. Then emergency services plaque for groups that raise money.
Uh-huh.
And then the last one being
the community,
which Justin won last year as pro of the Alderbrook Country Club. So, and these are given there at the program, and it just turns into an exciting type thing.
It really does. It's 11 to 2 this Saturday at the Alderbrook Resort and Lodge in Union. The proceeds do benefit the Mason County Emergency Services. We will post the link on our Facebook page and our website so people can get more information if they need to. And we are looking forward to coming out and jumping here this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you guys for your support.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
You're tremendous in what you do for us.
It's going to be a lot.
We appreciate Dale. And,
he'll be great.
His kindness. He's the MC every year and does a great job.
I don't know how he merged into not having to jump.
No, he did that a couple of years ago when we were at Hoodsport jumping.
I remember that.
And he came out just freezing to I think that was decision time for him. Poor Dale.
I think so. 8:25. Thank you so much, Don and Justin, for coming in. It is the Polar Bear Plunge this Saturday from 11 to 2. 8:27 right now. We'll take a break and get the morning stock numbers from Karen Shade. They're coming up next here on Daybreak. It is iFIBER ONE News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Good high rates on the chopping block. We're cooking up a deal at our community credit union with 1% cash back and no payments for 90 days. If you have an auto, boat, RV, personal, or any other type of consumer loan, feast on this. For a limited time, we'll treat you to 1% cash back instantly when you move your loan to our community credit union. Don't wait. Apply online at ourcu.com or visit a branch location, Shelton, Union, McClary, Elma, Montesano, or Vashon.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Good morning to you. Daybreak here at 8:27, and the morning stock numbers, Carol, coming up in just a couple of moments, and we want to say good morning to you. Still upcoming today, we have a conversation on the phone with the Department of Ecology regarding a upcoming meeting about the C Street dump. We'll be talking about that. That's on our website, iFIBER1 Newsradio.com, and Carol, that is under the Environment tab. You can find it Environment News. Hover over News tab, and then it shows up Ecology Meeting on C Street Landfill Cleanup, February 9th at the Civic Center. We'll have a conversation in just a few moments with Rebecca Lawson from the Department of Ecology to talk about this upcoming meeting at the Civic Center. 8:29 here at iFIBER1 News Radio's Daybreak with Jeff and Carol. We also heard that there's 6 teachers at the Hood Canal School that will be jumping this upcoming weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun to get out there. And it's refreshing, to say the least.
Yeah, I have done polar bear jumps, just not here at the Alderbrook. So it is fun to get into cold water and then to get out.
Get out there. I think it's funner to get out quickly.
Just the anticipation of jumping in.
Where were you, where have you jumped previously?
Well, when I lived in Tahoe. And,
beautiful Lake Tahoe, like the actual lake, Lake Tahoe?
And, yes, and then when I lived in Idaho, there's a couple lakes up there, and then actually at Lake St. Clair.
Lake St. Clair.
A group of us did it on actually New Year's Day for a while. So.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the morning stock numbers are forthcoming here on iFIBER1 News Radio, and let's say good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, Karen?
I'm doing good. It's a little foggy.
Oh, you ain't kidding. It was super foggy on the way in, and
I know all of a sudden you just hit the almost the county border, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I mean, my car was frozen this morning up at Tacoma, but.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it was completely frozen. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, last 2 mornings I had. So.
Well, that's, I guess it's winter, so.
I know. I would like a little more snow.
You want more snow?
Yeah, just a little.
I'll see what Carol can do for you.
Carol, can you work on that, please?
On the weather report. What's going on with Wall Street? Is Wall Street all so happy after Iowa caucuses, or what's going on with Wall Street?
Not so much. U.S. stocks are retreating as oils decline toward $30 a barrel, renewed concern that global growth may be slowing. On the earnings front, ExxonMobil is lower after reporting its biggest earnings slide in more than a decade, while BP PLC reported lower than expected earnings due to restructuring and impairment charges. Alphabet is a notable exception to the broad weakness after posting a strong profit in sales results yesterday, also eclipsing Apple as the world's largest company by market cap. U.S. bond prices are gaining with weakness in equities. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is utilities, while the worst performing sector is energy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 249 points at 16,200. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is down 27 points at 1,912. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 55 points at 4,565. This morning volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 277 million shares being traded, and decliners are outnumbering advancers by a wide margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is down $2.55 to $1,125.85. The spot price of silver is down 4 cents to $14.31, and crude oil prices are down $1.28 to $30.34. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.69%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.88%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is down $14.36, Costco is down $1.83, Boeing is down $2.45. Starbucks is down 44 cents, and Microsoft is down 77 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton, and if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, thank you much.
You're welcome.
Have a good one. 8:32 here at iFIBER1 News Radio. It's Daybreak, and the latest in local news with Mary Lynn Foster coming up next, brought to you right now by Fred Holmes Tree Service.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER1 News Radio.
From
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. The city's updated marijuana ordinance was given final approval last night, allowing 500-foot buffers between pot growing and processing facilities and public buildings. Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved the ordinance, which does not lessen the buffer zone for retail marijuana establishments. Retailers are still required to remain at 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, parks, and other public buildings. The ordinance, proposed by City Director of Community and Economic Development Steve Goins, amends the city code to allow marijuana producers and processors to operate within commercial industrial zones. The commissioner's actions gives the green light to two companies seeking city permits to renovate former Rainier buildings on Harvard Street and on Mill Street, respectively, for indoor marijuana growing and processing operations. The ordinance requires growers and processors to limit visibility and odor. The new law imposes civil penalties for violating such limitations. The commissioner's decision continues the city's existing prohibition on collective gardens. Trails Road off State Route 106 near Belfair was closed Sunday after Mason County road officials determined the slope under a 100-foot section of the road was unstable. The northbound lane of the road was blockaded where a crack of about an inch wide was found in the road's surface. The road remains closed to other than local traffic until repairs can be made. County engineer Melissa McFadden said the movement in the road surface was first noticed on Friday with more shifting Saturday. She says Trails Road is fairly stable and the crack should be sealed this week. Director of the Mason County Economic Development Council, Lynn Longan, was recently in New Orleans for the Leadership Summit, a gathering of top-level executives of economic development agencies. She told Daybreak about a current trend of reshoring that Mason County could benefit from.
They say about 240,000 manufacturing jobs have been brought to the U.S. from offshore in the last 6 years. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here in our little rural community going, how do we benefit from that? And then I took two different roundtables where we talked about how we can maximize that effort. One was on business retention expansion, how we can work with existing businesses to try to help them. And there's some great tools out there that I've now been made aware of to help them figure out whether or not it makes sense for them to reshore their manufacturing. And the other one was business recruitment, of course. So foreign direct investment, how do we tap into that? And so I came away with some really great ideas.
Longan says the reshoring trend can be attributed to more pressure to be made in the USA and quality control. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton. Best deals, best price, best trade, and low payments. And when you think selection of used cars, trucks, and SUVs, think family-owned Gillis Auto Center with over 200 pre-owned vehicles available. Wait a minute. That's right, over 200 good, clean, used vehicles available. That's a huge selection. And right now at Gillis Auto Center, special interest rates and volume pricing, which means you save money. At the City Center Mount Lock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
It's about your life and your money. It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
You don't win by accident. So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment and you form and control your life.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Working on all cylinders for their new coach. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Schreiber reporting on sports. Riding high under head coach Tyronn Lue. The Cleveland Cavaliers look to seal a rare win in Indianapolis Monday night.
Irving works off a high Thompson screen, fires an 18-footer and knocks it down. Irving now has a team-high 21 points.
John Michael on WTAM with the call. The Cavs' big three, Love, Irving, and James, combined for 68 points in an overtime win against the Pacers. The first time the Cavs won in Indiana in 6 years. Around the NBA, Gordon Hayward put up 27 points in the Jazz overtime win over the Bulls. The Spurs remain undefeated at home, beating the Magic. The Pistons squeaked by the Nets in Brooklyn. Thunder over the Wizards. Grizzlies beat the Pelicans. Kings win against the Bucks. And the Nuggets ruin the Raptors' 11-game winning streak.
They'll be battling it out come Sunday, but Peyton Manning and Cam Newton aren't exchanging jabs off the field. Speaking at Super Bowl 50 Media Night, Manning had nothing but praise for the young Panthers quarterback.
There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be the MVP on Saturday night, and what he's done in a short time being an NFL quarterback, he's been awesome.
As for Newton, he spoke highly of his counterpart, saying he's happy people are linking the two.
Well, anytime you get compared to Peyton Manning, you must be doing something right. So I take it for what it's worth.
It's not official yet, but Detroit Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson is reportedly ready to hang up his cleats. At just 30 years old, the news has sent shockwaves throughout the NFL, but concerns about long-term injuries may prompt more early retirements. Another player in his early 30s is calling it quits. Two-time Super Bowl champion Justin Tuck is stepping away from the game. Dave Schreiber, ABC Sports.
For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Jeff Slikey. It's Daybreak at 8:38. Along with Carol Gardner, we're reporting on news from around the Northwest. And before I get to the sports, Carol, what's going on with the weather?
It's 34 and a little bit foggy.
Got an email from Coach Dan Gagnon from the bowling team here at Shelton High. And whoa, good job to some of the lady bowlers here at the 2016 West Central 1 District Tournament this past weekend at Pacific Lanes. Rebecca Robinson and Kaylee Schilter, the two bowlers representing Shelton, bowled above their averages by more than 30 pins for each of their games. Each of their three games. Rebecca averaged 159, Kaylee 155, and Rebecca is now the second alternate for state. Congratulations to the high climbers divers. Top four places at the Narrows League Diving Championships last Thursday. First time in league history that one school grabbed the top four spots. John Netzel, your league champion, followed by Troy Crumples, Zach Netzel, and Mikey Willis. John Troy qualified to state February 19 and 20. Zach and Mikey still have a very good chance to qualify as well. Congrats to the climber company for drill and rifle. The meet was held at Rogers High School on the 30th. Color Guard 2 got first place. Color Guard 1 got second place. Armed Team Commander picked up second place, and for third place finishes in their unarmed team regulation, armed team regulation, unarmed duels, and armed duels exhibitions. The next drill and rifle meet will be at Oregon City on the 27th, and this will be their final regular season meet to determine which teams will advance to regional competition held on March 19th at Bethel. Mentioned the divers moving now to swimming. Following swimmers are headed to the district meets on February 12th and 13th. Alec Dodge, Ryan Youngquist, Braden Ordonez, Levi Vance, Alex Brown Garcia, Taylor Tony, and Robert Cornwell. Good luck to everybody as they move on to districts. Tonight on iFIBER1newsradio.com, girls basketball versus North Thurston live from the Mini-Dome with Sean Wells, and the players in progress should be the halftime performance for you tonight. We'll have all that on the video cast at iFIBER1newsradio.com right around 7 o'clock. Boys basketball, the boys are heading to play at the Slater-Kinney Annex against North Thurston. We've got more girls basketball on iFIBER1newsradio.com on Thursday. We'll have the dance team performance, and then there's a couple wrestling tournaments this weekend. So good luck to everybody participating in winter sports as they are slowly coming to a close. 8:41 now. Here's Carol with the forecast.
Good morning. It's 34. Foggy this morning, so if you're heading out, maybe give yourself some extra time. The rest of the week will be partly cloudy with some, the rest of the day will be partly cloudy with some sun, and we'll reach a high of almost 50. And the rest of the week calls for rain, and the temps will stay right around 50. Saturday, chance of rain at the Polar Bear Plunge that takes place at Union, and Sunday in Santa Clara, perfect day for Super Bowl at 70. Right now, it's 34.
That's right, and it's 8:42. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll talk with Rebecca Lawson from the Department of Ecology about a public meeting that's coming up in Tuesday the 9th. All about the C Street landfill cleanup site. We will talk with Rebecca right after this on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi guys!
Kat here with iFIBER ONE News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at 8:43, and we had a last-minute addition to the show this morning, Carol, and it's a great topic of conversation. It's all about the Shelton C Street landfill, and from the Department of Ecology, Rebecca Lawson is on the phone with us. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for calling in and talking with us about this C Street landfill project. Looks like there is some public comment periods starting up on the 8th, lasting for about a month, and also a public meeting coming up. Is that right?
That's correct. The meeting is next Tuesday, February 9th, from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Shelton Civic Center.
What are people going to be able to see, learn, and move forward with information on this?
Well, the C Street landfill has been around for a long time, and we will be conducting what we call a remedial investigation and feasibility study under our state cleanup law, the Model Toxics Control Act. And basically, the remedial investigation, as it sounds, will explore the presence and extent of any contamination at the landfill. And then the feasibility study will evaluate what cleanup options may be applicable to the site.
Is there any current information on the quality of the landfill currently, or is that what these studies are going to do?
Not sure what you mean by quality. We don't have a lot of data in terms of what has been found at the landfill. Back in the late 80s, EPA did a study about dioxins in baghouse dust at the local mills. Mm-hmm. And they did take a couple of samples, soil samples from the C Street landfill, and dioxins were detected in those soils. So we obviously want to explore that further and better understand any contamination that's present.
That's what I was wondering. Very nice. So the public will be able to comment on this process at the Civic Center from 6:30 to 8:30, and the open house is at 6:30. Presentation and questions. Are you going to be the one who will be providing that presentation?
I will be one of the folks there. The site manager who works for me in my section, Jason Langstrom, he is the site manager, and he will give a little bit of history about the C Street landfill, what we know, what we hope to find out. And in the beginning, I'll give a little overview just about the cleanup process under the Model Toxics Control Act and kind of where we are in that process.
Ecology is working with Rayonier Incorporated to clean up Goose Lake, which is north of the C Street landfill cleanup site. That's a separate cleanup and is not for this comment period, but there is more information available on some of these public one sheets about the C Street landfill that we'll post on our Facebook page as well. So this is coming up this next week here at the Civic Center, 525 West Coda Street, February 9th, 6:30 to 8:30. And a lot of questions will be answered at that time. Again, people can find more information under our environment page on iFiber1newsradio.com. Rebecca Lawson from the Department of Ecology on the phone with us this morning. Is there anything else that we need to pass along to the public on this?
I don't think so. I think it'll be a great opportunity for folks to get some questions answered. And, of course, we're just starting the process. So once we finish the remedial investigation and feasibility study, we'll know a lot more about what the risks are and then what needs to be done.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming on at late notice from the Department of Ecology, Rebecca Lawson, on the show this morning. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks again for having me.
It's 8:48 here now. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look to the news at 9 from ABC on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6, and they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
iFIBER ONE News Radio Studios. You're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It's about 10 to 9 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Tom Hartman coming up at 9 o'clock, just after ABC News. Dave Ramsey in at noon. Chad Benson, Alex Jones, and Overnight America comes our way starting at 11. 10 o'clock tonight, we continue on that road to the Super Bowl. It's just down I-5 way. You can take the beautiful PCH, be there in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
enjoy some nice
drive down to Santa Clara. Santa Clara is a nice. I went into Santa Clara once for a marching band drum corps auditions for the Santa Clara Vanguard, and there's a lot of fun to do. We were supposed to be there the whole weekend trying out and practicing, and after the first few hours, my friend Chris and I decided that this was not the right place for us to be. So we went and played around in Santa Clara, drove home, got stuck in the snow at some movie.
No.
Well, this was in the winter.
Okay.
And on the way home, and we got stuck in the snow and driving in some hotel that had to have been the setting of a horror movie. One of those kind of things. Wow, man. So that's coming up tonight at 10, 7 days to Sunday, the Super Bowl. And that's coming up this Sunday. Our coverage begins at 11. Checking out the Twitter sphere. Anything on Twitter this morning? Not so much.
No, I haven't really been seeing. Mostly it's about what happened last night in Iowa and traffic's moving on.
Pretty interesting as I look at the front page of the website, iFIBER1Newsradio.com. And if you just look at the front page, never mind. It would have worked better if we had that Linden story as the front, because it really was a contradiction.
Pot and pot. Yeah.
Two pot stories, two small municipalities in the city, both deciding to go in very different ways about this. Shelton had the city commission meeting last night. They approved to kind of lower the buffer from 1,000 to 500 feet when it comes to growing and processing facilities. If it's a retail, still at 1,000, probably a good idea. And because I bring it up, I was talking about this the other day. If you go to businesses, often 25 feet out, they'll have paint marks that show people how far away 25 feet is, because that's how far you're supposed to stand if you're outside smoking.
Right.
So you got to be 25 feet. So that's not very far from a storefront.
No.
So then to
it's
think
not.
about 100 feet away from something, that's hardly anything. And I think that's where other cities are lowering the threshold.
Mhm.
We're going to stay at 1,000 for the retailers, but this is good news for those two buildings down near the water, the IOTT
Puts
Ray
into
and
good
buildings.
use, brings in some money.
Yeah, better than
nothing
living or whoever's been living in there for the last couple of years.
If anybody is.
Well, I'm talking about rats and animals as well. I'm not just saying that people are living in there. I'm saying that they can now put those buildings to good use again.
Yes, in the roundabout way, you were saying that.
8:53 here on this Tuesday morning. It is Groundhog's Day. Let's find out what the old farmer has to say. When we come back, we'll hear from Puxatawny Phil himself. Shadow, no shadow. Spring, no spring. Yikes. We'll find out next what happened on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
It is WeatherLore's biggest day of the year. We'll take a closer look at nature's weather clues on a Groundhog's Day edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Tuesday, February 2nd. It is the 33rd day of the year, and singer Graham Nash has a birthday. Today's groundhog traditions are great fun, but there is no scientific basis for believing we'll get any reliable weather forecast. That's not to say, though, there is no predictive value in watching for weather signs in nature. Many animals and plants are especially sensitive to changes in air pressure. Birds and bats are known to fly closer to the ground before a rainstorm. Likewise, chickweed, tulips, dandelions, and other plants are known to close their petals. And the Chinese are convinced that animals can reliably predict earthquakes. They've set up observation posts in zoos to act as early warning quake sensors. And there is your Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more at almanac.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, AM/AM.
$8:55 here at iFIBER One News Radio, Daybreak, and a good morning to you. It was a real foggy drive-in. Well, it still looks pretty foggy outside. Be advised. I mean, visibility was so low. If I didn't have my headlights on, which of course I would because it's dark, but I mean, it seemed like it was 10 feet, if that.
If the white line wasn't painted on the side of the road,
You couldn't have seen it.
yeah, you would have been off the road.
Yeah, that's how foggy it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This second day of February 2016, the 130th annual trek of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of all prognosticator, was awakened from his burrow to the cheers of his thousands of faithful followers.
Oh, what did he see?
There is no shadow to be cast. An early spring is my forecast.
Oh, man. Everybody out there at Gobbler's Knob, so excited as we get things going. Groundhog's Day. He did not see a shadow, which means that, there's so many clouds in early morning, regardless, that the odds are, and it's been 102 times that he has seen his shadow.
Mm-hmm.
10 times there was no count. And so it'd be, 18 times that he hasn't seen his shadow. So just in the 130 years, if I did my quick math right, just 18 times he forecast a early spring.
Wow.
Over it, because it's always, cloudy in the morning.
It is always cloudy.
So people go out there and they love this event. I would do this.
Well, you can get a travel guide and a schedule. Next time you go, if you go next year, it'll be 131.
Well, maybe like 150.
20 years?
20 years from now.
All right. Well, you can have breakfast with Phil.
Kaiser would be 20.
So you could do a whole week. You start Saturday. You have breakfast with Phil. I'm not quite sure if they just set the groundhog in front and down and on the table. I'm not sure how that works.
Your groundhog is delicious.
Then you can crowning of little Mr. and Miss Groundhog. I'm guessing those aren't the groundhogs. Those are little kids. Groundhog Ball, Saturday or Sunday night.
I mean, I'd go get a tuxedo for that.
Yeah, well, you'd need a tuxedo. Then Monday, Meteorologist Hall of Fame. Probably the best predictors.
Sure.
Or when they were right, they get, their name in it when Phil was right. Then you have a members-only reception. So you have to be part of the
inner circle, the
inner circle.
The Groundhogs Club members-only reception.
Yes. And then on Tuesday, Phil will be in his burrow. And then, they check to see if he comes out. So there you go. There's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, it's
what
crazy.
A legend. What a deal. I cannot believe this, Iowa caucuses was yesterday, and that's great. And I love democracy,
great idea.
Whatever. But this, I cannot believe the whole country is trying to figure out what's Groundhog is doing in Pennsylvania.
Right, but we don't have one here, right?
Sure.
So what we do is we make this the destination for our thing or whatever creature. I don't know.
Somebody's got to dig down and find a gooey duck. If a gooey duck sees its shadow,
if a gooey duck
how do you
comes
get your hand down all the way? If you're able to grab a gooey duck, that means.
That is, if you can grab a gooey duck today, then there's no more winter. Winter's over.
Could be onto something here.
Spring's coming on.
Trying to, get people into the town here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they got chainsaw carving back there. We got chainsaw carving here.
We have just about everything except for a groundhog.
Yeah.
So we could start a new tradition.
Gooey duck.
A gooey duck. Oh,
we'll have to make a name for him.
I like it. That's a good idea, Carol.
Yeah, there you go.
It's 9
Happy
o'clock,
Gooey Duck Day.
And we'll be back tomorrow. It's Wednesday. Transit Talk with Brad Patterson. We'll also port a call with Dick Taylor and John Dobson. More great guests throughout the rest of the week here on Daybreak. And we thank you so much for starting your day with us here.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton. Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030, FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
C News, I'm Daria Aldinger. Most of the president